179, 180, they may go beyond the non-hearsay purpose that we're planning to use, and it may be a problem for other reasons. Because if she's describing the incident and what happened, that's hearsay, right? So my first issue is I have no idea why we need to relabel anything to make it look like it's their clips. Number two, some of these clips may or may not go beyond what the court may allow as it relates to body cam because of hearsay issues.
179 and 181 is what you're talking about.
179 and 180.
Because I don't see the state having relabeled 180.
We did not.
Yeah, we only have 179 and 181.
I don't know. What I'm looking at here, what was handed to me, S243 says Defense Exhibit 180.
Oh, that's good.
So I don't know.
I might have mislabeled that on
I think it's 181.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what makes you think that? Because it says 180 on this thing that gave us.
The exhibit by electronic
Oh,
copy
okay.
that I have says 181.
the. I'll double check it myself. That's why.
But is there a 180? There must be a one. There's no 180.
So what I have in the exhibit folder is State's Exhibit 242, which purports to be defendant's 179.
Oh, I see. In terms of what they gave you this morning.
Correct.
Got it.
Right, and then 243, State's 243 is what purports to be defendant's 181.
Okay, so this is a typo. So it's really Defense Exhibit 181.
Correct.
Okay.
And then State's Exhibit 240, State Exhibit 244 purports to be what has been marked as defendant's 182, which the court did have opportunity to review.
Correct.
Okay.
And off the top of my head, I haven't. It's been a while. I haven't memorized what's on 179, Defense 179 or Defense 181. But I'm just saying there may be other problems with that we need to address. But at the very my point is none of these need to be relabeled, especially 182. But I would need a minute to go back and watch 179 and 181 to make other objections as far as hearsay, talking about the incident and things like that.
Okay, you want to do that now? Because it's going to come up with Officer Chung, right? Or Corporal Chung.
Yes, I think if we have a second to look at it now, that would be helpful.
It would be helpful for the court too, because I did view 182 defendants. It's probably best for me to review 179, 181.
Sure. Do you need me to speak about the relabeling thing that's been brought up?
I'm sorry?
Do I need to speak about the relabeling issue that's been brought up? Because, look, if I want to enter the exhibit, I need to be ready to enter the exhibit. I don't need to go ask defense counsel for their exhibit. That's just normal. So I don't see any problem with relabeling it, just to make sure that the exhibits I want to introduce, I have available to me. I know what the officer has reviewed, what he's signed to get on the disc. So that's the purpose in relabeling. It's not to hide anything. But I do want to add that, it also avoids that risk of, by defense's motion, or by defense's request to the court, the entire clip has been audio redacted, right? And then suddenly defense is now introducing audio, and that makes the state look like we're hiding things, which is not the purpose. We're just trying to follow the court's order with the audio. So it cuts both ways here. There's nothing wrong with labeling these exhibits as the state's if we want to introduce them.
Just a couple comments on that. I don't know what it's talking about. The court ordered us to turn over electronic copies of our exhibits to each other, which we did. So this idea that he can't get the defense exhibits, he wants to make sure he has access to them. I have no idea what he's talking about. The way it works is we turn over our exhibits, we mark them, we make exhibit lists with the court's deadlines, within the court's deadlines that are set. And that's what we did here. You don't, in the middle of the trial, take our exhibits that you can just use and use them as defense exhibits and relabel them and make like they're your exhibits. I've never seen that in 20 years of doing this. I mean, and he can say what he wants, but it's very clear why he's doing this. We're not dumb, we're not stupid. So you can say what he wants, like just use it as defense exhibits, which is what happens in every trial. Like we've used some state exhibits throughout this trial.
Okay. Anything else with respect to these video exhibits? And I have one more thing before we go off record to review the clips.
I have nothing productive to add.
Then with respect to my last thing on my checklist before we recess, the live coverage, which you're welcome to have, and student members of the media, you're welcome to continue to live stream the proceedings. I would ask though that when we are not on record, that both audio and visual not be broadcasted. And the reason is this. During our recesses when we're not off record, the attorneys need to confer, they need to confer with court, defense needs to confer with Dr. Konig, and that should not be part of the broadcast made available to the public. So I would ask if the media could comply with that. Any problems with that?
Copy that.
Great, thank you very much.
One other comment, Your Honor, and again, I'm not saying it's, this is the intent, but I've been told by people watching that at certain times, there's been zooming in on, what's on our table and on our computer. And I'm not saying that that's the intention to try and do that, but people have said it appears that way. And they've told us, be careful, don't leave things on your desk because they're zooming in on it. So I just ask that stop as well. You can, whatever, zoom in on whatever you want, but just be cautious about trying to zoom in on our work product on our table.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Anything else before we take a recess?
Nothing.
All right. Recess.
Can we go watch it in the, go ahead, in the back?
Or witness room, whatever you want.
Thank you.
This cop is in the witness room, but if you need to go in, just.
You want the other one?
I mean,
I'm gonna I'm gonna rewind, go back and see if there's stuff that I missed that was live so that we don't have to sit here and stare. I'm gonna rewind, go back and see if there's stuff that I missed. So let me just see what's going on here, because I don't want to sit there and stare at nothing. How long were they in recess for? Let's hear what they were talking about.
to the use of these, it's akin to a mugshot. He's in some kind of prison garb. In some kind of prison garb or cell block garb. And for that reason, we are objecting to the use of those three photographs as they are prejudicial in the sense that they look like a mugshot. So then there's a whole nother issue, but I don't know if you want to deal with that first.
Yeah, let's do the photographs first. So let me pull 238, 239, and 129.
129.
Hang on. Well, they're all part of the same sequence.
Yes.
I believe so.
The photos were taken by evidence specialist Mohammed Salame on March 25th, 2025 at around 5:40 p.m.
Okay. Mr. Garner, the state's position on defendant's motion to preclude.
Yes, Your Honor. First of all, State's Exhibit 129 was the head-on direct photograph of the defendant. The original intention for this photo was just as a documentation of who Mr. Salame recovered the bubble swab from. That being said, so State's Exhibit 238 and 239 show the defendant's side profile from right and left views. As the trial and the evidence has developed, it has become clear that defense intends and is claiming self-defense in this case. These photos show the extent and the severity of the defendant's injuries on the date after the incident. Essentially show very, very minimal, if any, injuries to the defendant. So they're highly relevant to rebut the claim of self-defense. The level of potential prejudice is not high as, well, it's been clear to the jury after the testimony yesterday that the defendant was in custody. The risk of unfair prejudice does not substantially outweigh the high probative value. So these photos should be admitted.
That's what I'm thinking as well, Mr. Otake. I mean, the prejudice of the long shot is to not indicate to the jury that the defendant is in custody, but that is not a danger at this point in time. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Otake?
On that issue, I mean,
Over defendant's objection, subject to laying a proper foundation, was marked for identification of state exhibits 129, 238, and 239 can be proffered against if they're admitted into evidence. Mr. Otake, you had another issue.
yes, the other thing that was included on the state's new exhibit list is they have now have S2, state 242, state 243, and state 244. And this is what I was talking about the other day, which clearly now they're doing, right? So I was trying to address this thing without now them strategically using things and making like they're the ones giving it to the jury instead of us. But, you know, whatever, you want to play those games, that's fine. But to take our exhibits, the clips that we made, and now relabel them as state's exhibits, I mean, that's ridiculous. So if they want to use it, it remains as defense exhibit 179, 180, and 182. If they want to use it, they can use it, but that's not how we do it. In the middle of a trial, you take the defense exhibits that we made and gave, and now try to make like it's your exhibits, and there's no need to do that except trying to mislead the jury. Never seen it before, so they should remain as defense exhibit 179, 180, and 182, and they're free to use it, just like we've used state's exhibits. I mean, this is, I mean, and not to mention, like, if that's the case, then they've never produced those things to us. So, and there was deadlines for discovery, there's deadlines for exhibits. So you don't just take our exhibits that we made and relabel it to make it like you're not trying to hide something from the jury. Go ahead and use it, but leave it marked as the way it was.
These are clips of how long? Of what length?
Short clips.
And the original body cam video for Officer Chun was how long?
Very long. I don't know, 20 minutes, 20 minutes-ish.
I'm sorry, 20 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know,
I think it's around 27,
Yeah,
but
around-
it's fairly long.
20 to 30 minutes. So we took the time to make these clips, produce it, label it as defense exhibits for parts that we believe, were relevant. And, I'm not saying he can't use them, but let's not do this shibai thing where we're labeling it as a state's exhibit and making it like they're the ones who wanted to give this clip to the jury and turn it over and label it as a state's exhibit. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And it shouldn't be allowed for all, because the time for marking state's exhibits and turning it over to us has long passed. So they can use it, just leave it marked as a defense exhibit.
Mr. Gordon.
Well, I strongly object to the characterizations Mr. Otake is making about this. The reason the state added these exhibits to our exhibit list is we believe the defense's intention is to enter only a short clip of Officer Chun's body cam. And I want to note that by previous ruling of the court, the entire body cam of Officer Chun, which the state does intend to introduce, has been redacted entirely of audio. So what the jury gets from the state, the entire body cam, no audio. So we believe the defense intends to introduce some statements that were made for the purpose of trying to make it look like, or to try and minimize Ariel Konig's injuries by essentially saying she can talk okay. By essentially saying, oh, her voice is fine. These additional clips are a completeness issue. They show some of the difficulties that Ariel was having speaking that day. There's a non-hearsay purpose.
I'm sorry, let me catch up with you, Mr. Garner. Back up about 10 seconds.
Sure.
These clips show what?
They show Ariel Konig speaking to Officer Chun at the Poly Lookout. So she is relating things related to the events Just a moment, I'll get my sheet with my write-up.
And while you're looking, I'm sorry, Mr. Dirks, I have a question for you. Court asked defense to provide a clip that the defendant wanted to introduce via cross-examination of Officer Chan. I did have a chance to review it. Was that just one exhibit, or is that the entirety of the 3 clips that the defendant had marked?
That's exhibit 182, and that's just one exhibit.
Understood. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And if I can just quickly clarify, just so we don't waste more time. So 179, 180, and 182, we did produce, okay? Now, what I'm saying is, anything that is admissible, and these may or may not be, he can try to admit them if they're admissible. We can talk about that, but we should, they don't need to relabel them, is my point. Number one. Number two, 182, the one, you know, these other 179, 180, they may go beyond the non-hearsay purpose that we're planning to use, and it may be a problem for other reasons. Because if she's describing the incident and what happened, that's hearsay, right? So my first issue is I have no idea why we need to relabel anything to make it look like it's their clips. Number two, some of these clips may or may not go beyond what the court may allow as it relates to body cam because of hearsay issues.
179 and 181 is what you're talking about.
179 and 180.
Because I don't see the state having relabeled 180.
We did not.
Yeah, they only have 179 and 181.
I don't know. What I'm looking at here, what was handed to me, S243 says Defense Exhibit 180.
Oh, I apologize.
So I don't know.
I might have mislabeled that on the,
I think it's 181.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what makes you think that? Because it says 180 on the thing they gave us.
The exhibit by electronic
Oh,
copy
okay.
that I have says 181.
and I'll double check it myself as well.
But is there a 180? There must be a one. There's no 180?
So what I have in the exhibit folder is State's Exhibit 242, which purports to be defendant's 179.
I see. In terms of what they gave you this morning.
Correct.
Got it.
Right, and then 243, State's 243 is what purports to be defendant's 181.
Okay, so this is a typo, so it's really Defense Exhibit 181.
Correct.
Okay.
And then State Exhibit 244 purports to be what has been marked as defendant's 182, which the court did have opportunity to review.
Correct.
Okay.
And you know, off the top of my head, it's been a while. I haven't memorized what's on 179, Defense 179 or Defense 181. But I'm just saying there may be other problems with that we need to address. But my point is none of these need to be relabeled, especially 182. But I would need a minute to go back and watch 179 and 181 to make other objections as far as hearsay, talking about the incident and things like that.
Okay, you want to do that now? Because it's going to come up with Officer Chung, right? Or Corporal Chung.
Yes, I think if we have a second to look at it now, that would be helpful.
It would be helpful for the court too, because I did view 182 defendants. It's probably best for me to review 179, 181.
Sure. Do you need me to speak about the relabeling thing that's been brought up?
I'm sorry.
Do I need to speak about the relabeling issue that's been brought up? Because, look, if I want to enter the exhibit, I need to be ready to enter the exhibit. I don't need to go ask defense counsel for their exhibit. That's just normal. So I don't see any problem with relabeling it, just to make sure that the exhibits I want to introduce, I have available to me. I know what the officer has reviewed, what he's signed it on the disc. So that's the purpose in relabeling. It's not to hide anything. But I do want to add that, it also avoids that risk of, by defense's motion or by defense's request of the court, the entire clip has been audio redacted, right? And then suddenly defense is now introducing audio, and that makes the state look like we're hiding things, which is not the purpose. We're just trying to follow the court's order with the audio. Right? So it cuts both ways here. there's nothing wrong with labeling these exhibits as mistakes if we want to introduce them.
Just a couple comments on that. I don't know what he's talking about. The court ordered us to turn over electronic copies of our exhibits to each other, which we did. So this idea that he can't get the defense exhibits, he wants to make sure he has access to them. I have no idea what he's talking about. The way it works is we turn over our exhibits, we mark them, we make exhibit lists with the court's deadlines, within the court's deadlines that are set. And that's what we did here. You don't, in the middle of the trial, take our exhibits that you can just use and use them as defense exhibits and relabel them and make like they're your exhibits. I've never seen that in 20 years of doing this. I mean, and he can say what he wants, but I mean, it's very clear why he's doing this. We're not dumb, we're not stupid. So he can say what he wants, like just use it as defense exhibits, which is what happens in every trial. Like we've used some state exhibits throughout this trial.
Anything else with respect to these video exhibits? And I have one more thing before we go off record to review the clips.
I have nothing productive to add.
Then with respect to my last thing on my checklist before we recess, the live coverage, which you're welcome to have, and to the members of the media, you're welcome to continue to live stream the proceedings. I would ask though that when we are not on record, that both audio and visual not be broadcasted. And the reason is this. During our recesses when we're not off record, the attorneys need to confer, they need to confer with court, defense needs to confer with Dr. Konig, and that should not be part of the broadcast made available to the public. So I would ask if the media could comply with that. Any problems with that?
Copy that.
Thank you very much.
One other comment, Your Honor, and again, I'm not saying it's this is the intent, but I've been told by people watching that at certain times there's been zooming in on what's on our table and on our computer, and I'm not saying that that's the intention to try and do that, but people have said it appears that way, and they've told us be careful, don't leave things on your desk because they're zooming in on it. So I just ask that stop as well. You can whatever, zoom in on whatever you want, but just just be cautious about trying to zoom in on our work product on our table.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Anything else before we take a recess?
Nothing to this table.
All right. Recess.
Can we go watch it in the? Go ahead. In the back.
Or witness room, whatever you want.
Thank you.
This cop is in the witness room, but if you need to go in, just.
You want the other, you want the other one?
I mean. Cognitive. Offering it to show what she's saying. We're offering it not for the truth of the matter asserted. In other words, we're not offering it to show what she's saying is true. We're offering it for a non-hearsay purpose of demonstrating what her cognitive ability and situation was, what her physical consciousness was following the incident. And obviously that is incredibly important in this case. Self-defense, defense, her injuries, the amount of force used, her condition immediately following the incident, all goes to the reasonableness of the force that was used. So it's incredibly, incredibly important. And that's, frankly, the best evidence of her condition right after the fact. We purposefully chose 182 because the questions she's answering during that clip is non-substantive as to what happened up on the mountain. Okay, she's in 182, defense 182. He's asking her about what kind of clothing Gerhardt was wearing, his height, his weight. I think where he works is asked, his hair color, and the type of potentially the type of car that's I can't remember the car that they drove to there. So nothing to do with the incident up on the mountain. All about just non-substantive things that demonstrate how she was cognitively, how she was physically, how she was in terms of her level of consciousness. all proper non-hearsay reasons. And we were gonna suggest that the court give a limiting instruction that it's only being offered not for the truth of the matter asserted, if the state wants a limiting instruction on that. It's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. There's very little danger of the jury using that in improper ways, because again, it has nothing to do with anything she's already said or anything about what happened in the mountain. It is incredibly, incredibly important exhibit to our defense, because it is the best evidence right down there, right after, of her consciousness, of her condition. Now, if the state now wants to use defense 179 and defense 181, the difference is 179 and 181, and just so the court is aware, we made those exhibits in case we needed to impeach her with it, in case she said something different. We weren't using those exhibits to show this issue of consciousness and physical whatever, because it's very, very substantive what she's saying in 179 and 181. So we made those exhibits for the purpose of, if she said something different, we could impeach her with those exhibits, right? So it was not going to be admitted unless it became impeachment. 179, she's, you can hear her saying, he said, you lying bitch, you whore, I can't do this anymore. Things that she frankly didn't even say on the stand, number one. 181, even more so. She's saying, I told him, don't leave our kids without parents. He was, bashing my head with a rock, 10 times. So she's getting into the substance of what happened. And now we're getting into, if rules related to prior inconsistent statement and the foundation for that, or prior consistent statement and the foundation for that, which has not been laid. And there's a much greater risk that the jury is going to hear these things and not be able to consider it, for anything other than not factor it into their their decision about what happened up on the mountain in terms of, what is substantively being reported about it. So those are very, very different in that regard. So we are objecting to 179 and 181 coming in. And frankly, if you compare 179, 181 to our 182, she's got essentially the same demeanor. She doesn't seem any better or worse on those than she does in 182. And so this idea that we're going to put that in to show that she was worse or whatever, again, I think that's a farce. I think they want to get in these substantive statements, and there's rules related to that. They could have tried to do it with her if they wanted to, lay the foundation for prior consistent or prior inconsistent statement. They could have tried to do that. They didn't. So now they want to backdoor it in, saying it's non-hearsay when it is the substance of it goes to the heart of what this whole case is about, the substance of it. It's not, why did she do what she did next, or typical non-hearsay things, right? So we deliberately took 182, and these are all, it's all in the same conversation. It's not like, one is from here and then another's 30 minutes later, right? This is all in the same conversation. But we made one to show her condition at the time that had no substance in terms of what she's saying happened on the mountain. So you take away that risk of, allowing in these substantive statements about what happened. So for those reasons, 179 and 181 should be excluded for that reason as well.
Thank you, Mr. Konig.
First off, Your Honor, when you introduce a statement of a person for a non-hearsay purpose, the content of that statement does not matter. When it's not for a hearsay purpose, whatever the person is saying, the jury is instructed on the limited purpose that they're allowed to consider it for. These two exhibits states 242 in defense 179 and states 243 in defense 181 show a difference in condition. They show a difference in condition to what defense is putting in defense 182. They show Ms. Konig panting more, having more difficulty speaking. They give a clearer picture of what she was like closer to when she came down the hill. So when she came down that trail, when she got down the trail, she started receiving medical treatment from a bystander. Then states 242 and 243 came about. And then afterwards, defense 182. So this is a completeness issue in the fact that I understand the non-hearsay purpose defense is saying, but once you say it's for non-hearsay purpose, and once we all agree to that, the content doesn't matter. So the same non-hearsay purpose for introducing the defense exhibit applies to the state's exhibit. It's just to show her condition, to give a clearer picture of the jury of Ms. Konig's condition, so that the jury doesn't get this tiny edited picture when in reality she was having a whole lot more struggles than the defense exhibit 182 shows. And a large portion of this trial has included defense's attempts to minimize Ms. Konig's injury. This is just another way they're doing it. And this is just a response to minimize the injury. The same instruction should be given for each of them if the court allows them. The juror is going to be presumed to follow that instruction. Did impede with the alleged occurred after this can lay the proper foundation that this is a consistent statement. Then it's very clear from all the evidence in this case that this calling it a startling event is, well, a complete minimization, but that's what the hearsay rule says. So there is clear hearsay exceptions for excited utterance and a statement of recent perception as well. So there's multiple different avenues of hearsay. This could be admissible. Regardless, there's a non-hearsay purpose. There's a purpose in responding to the exhibits the defense is putting in for their non-hearsay purpose. So for all of those reasons combined, these exhibits should be admissible.
Just address a couple of things. So first of all, this, again, we should, exhibit 180.
181.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Exhibit 181 and 182 are, I believe, if I'm doing the math correctly, less than 30 seconds apart from one another. Exhibit, 1 second, 181, it says,
Yeah.
It ends at 43:19, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and this starts at 43.
Yeah.
Okay. So exhibit 181 and 182 is 24, 1 second, 24 seconds apart from one another. So this idea about, one is from earlier when she first gone down the hill, and then the other one's from later, it's making out like it's like 5-10 minutes apart. It's about 24 seconds apart. So that's number one. Number two, again, never brought this thing up about prior consistent statement until I mention it, and all of a sudden, that's what he wants to do. Well, you don't lay foundation for a prior inconsistent statement.
For consistent statement.
I'm sorry, you don't lay foundation for a prior consistent statement with a police officer a day after the person testified. He if he wanted to do that, he could have tried with her. So that's that. And so that's not how this works. And that's, you know, again, that's not what he was earlier saying he was even using this for. So, Your Honor, these things should stay out. I mean, like you said in the beginning, what's at the beginning of this trial, when we talked about body cam, you basically said anything audio on the body cam, you know, it's hearsay, it's not coming in. And so, you know, unless there's a viable non-hearsay purpose for it.
Well, unless there's an exception. It's hearsay, but if there's an exception. Right? Hearsay normally doesn't come in unless there's an exception.
I understand that. But, you know, again, now that's what he's saying it's for?
And judge.
Well, whether or not he says it before or says it after, is there a hearsay exception for the material to come in?
Well, if we take these things one at a time.
And I'm not concerned about excited utterance or
Okay.
Statement of recent perception. I'm focused on
So one,
consistent statement.
okay, so 179, you lying bitch, you whore, I can't do this anymore. She never said that on the stand. So it's not consistent with anything. It's a brand new statement. She never said that on the stand. She said on the stand, he said, I'm sick of this shit, get over here. So I don't know what that's consistent with. Now that this is the new theory we're trying to use.
Fair argument. As to
181,
please.
he was saying, don't leave our kids without parents. And he hit me with the rock 10 times. That's actually, excuse me?
She says, he hit me with the rock 10 times. I don't know.
Well, that's different from what she said on the stand. She said up as many as 10 times. So that's different. So that would be a prior inconsistent statement.
Well, she did testify up to 10 times. She wasn't sure, right? During her extensive examination, both direct and cross.
She said as many as 10 times. I don't know the exact amount.
Right, and that's what she says in the statement.
It's not what she said. She said 10 times. She didn't say up to or as many as 10 times.
No, she said, he hit me 10 times. I don't know. But
Right.
She doesn't know the number.
And I'm suggesting that's different than saying he hit me as many as 10 times. And then later on, in a different, you know, under different questioning saying, you know, I'm not sure of the exact amount. That's different. That's different. Maybe not, you know, in your mind, it's not a huge difference, but it's different. So it's not entirely consistent.
Right, anything else you want to add?
No.
So I appreciate your thoughts. We might have to refine this further as well. With respect to what has been marked for identification as Defendant's Exhibit 182. Again, subject to the laying of proper foundation through Corporal Chan, the clip can come in with the audio. It is for a non-hearsay purpose. And it will remain as Defendant's Exhibit 182. With respect to State's Exhibit 242,
I'm sorry, which is Defense Exhibit 179.
yes. The objection is granted in part, denied in part. It is for a non-hearsay purpose as we discussed in Defendant's Exhibit 182, the first portion of the clip, before she's describing the incident, when she's giving her name, her condition is different than what's displayed in Defendant's 182. And it indicates the condition that Dr. Groschine was talking about when she first entered into the ER, when her respiration was 23 as opposed to 18 when she was examined by the medical professionals. Non-hearsay purpose, the first, I think, 10 or 11 seconds of the clip can come in. Again, it's not hearsay. The remainder of the clip, the objection is sustained, not a prior consistent statement, and will sustain the objection. So that exhibit needs to get recrafted and shortened, and it can be State's Exhibit 242. What has been marked for State's Exhibit 243 and his Defendant's 181, it's this court's position that there are portions of it that are admissible as prior inconsistent statements under Hawaii Rule of Evidence 802.1 sub 2, and that is offered pursuant to 613C. And what I'm talking about, it's the number of times that she's hit by the rock, and she says, I don't know. I'll have to go back again to see how we can splice the clip so that it only allows in what's an exception to the hearsay rule under what the court just cited as a prior consistent statement. There are other portions that are not consistent that we're going to have to excise out as well. Counsel.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm just looking up the rule on my phone. I apologize. I'm not texting anyone.
Go ahead.
But just for clarification, I'm a little confused. So for Defense 181, I'm sorry, I maybe I misunderstood, but you're saying that the part about how many times with the rock is consistent or inconsistent?
Consistent. It's a
Okay,
prior
so you're
consistent
saying that it should come in under, it can possibly come in as a prior consistent statement.
Yes.
Okay, but, and the rest of it, so you just, so,
I'm not sure, so I want to go back and listen. It's a short clip, but there are other things, and I understand the argument that you make, Mr. Talkin, and I agree with that. There are some things that are consistent. There are some things that are not. There are some things that cannot be consistent if she never testified to it previously. And that's what's driving the court's ruling.
okay. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm talking about the foundation. Okay, my understanding under HRE rule, 613C is, if we're gonna get into prior consistent statement, that's admissible to rehabilitate a witness's credibility after there has been evidence of inconsistent statement.
I'm looking at C2, and the rule states that evidence of a statement previously made by a witness that is consistent with the witness's testimony at trial is admissible to support the witness's credibility only if it is offered after an express or implied charge that has been made that the witness's testimony at trial has been recently fabricated or influenced by bias or other improper motive. Right, and the implication is she made this up to bolster the claims in the motion to set in the divorce case.
No, but this is, we embrace that she's always said it's been 10 hits. We're not saying that she's never said that.
That's not what she said, though.
We're not trying, she's always said it's been as many as 10 hits or up to 10 hits. She's always said that. We're not saying that's something.
That's not what she's saying. Right, she says up to 10.
That's what I just said. We embrace that she always has said it's been up to 10 hits.
Right, she's been challenged on the number of hits. is the trial examination both on direct and cross.
Okay, so, but I'm just trying to, okay, so your ruling is that that portion can be played, or
Yes.
just the part about the hits?
And whatever is, that's what I'm clear about is a prior consistent statement. I'm not sure about the rest of she describes the incident as well, right?
Right.
Right, and I'm not sure it's consistent, so I have to go back and listen to it again. It's a short clip. But the number of hits, to me, I'm clear and conclude that it is a prior consistent statement as admissible.
Under 613,
And 802.1. But I want to listen to the remainder of the clip.
assuming they can lay the foundation through this officer, but.
Correct. And I also want to go back and listen to other parts, because your argument makes sense to me, Mr. Otake, that some things that are on it are not necessarily consistent because she never testified to it before,
Right, or,
which is the basis for the court's ruling on,
understood.
right, on defendant's 179, which is 242 for the state. So I want to go back and listen to 181 again to further refine the rule.
Okay.
Okay.
As to the relabeling,
242 is state's exhibit because it's not a defendant's exhibit. You have to read that portion of it.
the new, when they make this new.
Yeah.
Clip,
It's view 242. 182 defendant states 182.
and then 181,
I think it's going to be 143 because it's going to have to get spliced. Because I don't think I'm relying all of it in.
okay. I think that's, okay.
So recess. Let me go take a look at it and we can figure out the timestamps.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Oh, Mr. Garner, you have anything else?
While we recess, I'm gonna go take custody of.
Talking about the foundation.
I
So
know where you're going.
802.1 reference you to 613.2, right?
Yes.
And 613.2 says an express or implied charge has been made that the witness's testimony at the trial is recently fabricated or is influenced by bias or other improper statements. And this is the part. And a consistent statement was made before the bias, motive, or fabrication or other improper motives is alleged to have arisen. If you listen, I'm sure you did, when you heard my opening statement, what we've said is, we talked about unfaithful, unwilling, untrue, and we said that after she started this incident on the mountain, realizing a divorce was coming, she said many untrue things to the police to get the upper hand in the divorce. So this statement that they want to introduce is not made before the bias, motive, or fabrication is alleged to have arisen. We're saying this statement, even to right then and there, that's what we've always said. That she said these untrue things because she knew at that point a divorce was coming. So we're not saying that this motive arose later. We're saying it arose at that time. That's what we've always said. So, it doesn't meet the exception. And further evidence of that is as I stated, when we started this morning, that's not where he was going with this. It was only when I raised it that all of a sudden he's trying to say it applies. But it doesn't apply because the consistent statement, I guess what's on 181, would have to have been made before the bias, motive, or fabrication or other improper motive is alleged to have arisen. And we're saying that at the time she made that statement, it was untrue because she had a bias, interest, motive in protecting herself and getting the upper hand and was clearly going to be divorced.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Opening statements should not be considered by the court for this purpose. The court should be considering the evidence and what happened on cross-examination. And what happened on cross-examination yesterday was Ariel Konig was crossed about what happened before the incident. Nothing about divorce was discussed before the incident. The only cross-examination or implied reason to fabricate anything about the divorce, Mr. Otake said, when you got back to Maui after the incident, that's when you filed for divorce, that's when you filed for the TRO, that's when you took the money out of the account. So the implication that Mr. Otake is making is that she had this motive to lie after the incident. There was no evidence brought up of any motive of Ariel Konig to fabricate this before she made this statement to the police. So temporally, this fits exactly into prior consistent statement.
I agree. However, Mr. Garner, when we look at Rule 613,
Confident you can stop it right then before what's not allowed comes in, then it just seems risky. But I mean, if you think we can stop it, or maybe Mr. Dirks can be ready with the power button or something, I don't know. But
Do you want to give me a moment to practice?
why don't you? Just, I think we should be safe. I mean, I understand the concern.
Okay, it is going to be on the screen up there because I'm currently. So State's Exhibit 242, publishing from the beginning.
Her name?
Ariel Konig, A-R-I-E-L-L-E. Birthday is March 24th, 1989.
all right.
All right, we can do it.
All right. Council, anything else we need to fight about before the jury comes back?
No, thank you, Your Honor. We weren't fighting, we're just talking.
Don't get me wrong, I call it a fight, but I appreciate the advocacy.
Yeah, I apologize. I know sometimes I get animated, Your Honor. I mean no disrespect. Thank you.
None is taken, and I appreciate the advocacy.
Thank you.
These trials bring up the best in everybody, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
By air.
Deputy Prosecutor Attorney Franklin Don.
Here we go. Never mind.
Recall case number 13, State of Hawaii versus Gerhardt, Konig, 1 CPC-25-373 for further jury trial. Counsel, can I have your premises, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Joel Garner for the state. Also present is Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Franklin Don Carlo Jr.
Good morning again, Mr. Garner. Good morning again, Mr. Picaro.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Corporal. Thomas Watake on behalf of Gerhardt, Konig, also present on his behalf is Mr. Matthews.
Good morning again, Mr. Watake. Good morning again, Mr. Dirks, and you as well, Dr. Konig. Good morning again. Gentlemen, all of you can be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good morning to all of you. Welcome back to courtroom 15. I apologize for the wait. I think you know by now, lawyers are terrible keepers of time. I apologize for that. I should have shared with you the analogy I share with other jurors about jury trials and delays, especially now when you have to travel by air. Jury service is very much like air travel. Right? You fight traffic in the morning, you get to the parking lot, you gotta fight for parking space. When you finally get your parking space, you stand in this long line for security. And then when you finally get through security, you rush to the gate and you wait. I'm sorry. Jury service is very much like that. I apologize. The silver lining though in the wait this morning is I did have very good discussions with the lawyers and they have even further streamlined the case. So even though you were left waiting outside, we did make progress and we're still on schedule. So thank you very much for your flexibility and your patience. Corporal Kevin Chun is on the stand. Corporal, good morning to you.
Morning.
Welcome back, and you are still under oath.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Garner, whenever you're ready, you may continue on with your direct examination.
Good morning, Corporal.
Good morning.
Okay, welcome back. Okay, Corporal, we're gonna jump in kind of where we jumped off yesterday as we ended. So, were you wearing a body-worn camera on March 24th, 2025?
Yes.
And I'm gonna approach you now with what's marked as State Exhibit 232. May I approach? Yes. Corporal, I'm going to approach you with what's been marked as State Exhibit 232. Do you recognize what I've just handed you?
Yes.
What is that?
This is a DVD with my name, signature, and the date.
Okay. And what is contained on that DVD?
Some of my body-worn camera footage.
And before you testified today, did you review what was on that DVD?
Yes.
And is what's on that DVD a true and accurate representation of what your body-worn camera saw, or what you saw on March 24th, 2025?
Yes.
Beyond any redactions for audio, is the body-worn camera on that disc the entire body-worn camera from that time you turned it on?
Yes.
At this point, the state would like to enter State's Exhibit 232 into evidence.
I'm still talking.
No objection.
Was marked for identification as State's Exhibit 232.
I'm going to play the video on the screen next to you and ask you some questions about it as we go through. So now publishing State's Exhibit 232. Okay, Corporal, what are we seeing right at the start of this camera?
Oh, this is me driving to the scene.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward a little bit until you get there. So fast forwarding to timestamp on the video of (10:38:04). So we're going to play at 10:38:04. And before I start playing, Corporal, what are we looking at before we start playing this on this freeze frame?
Again, like in the photo, this is the entrance to the Palipuka Trail.
And we're playing at 10:38:04. We're pausing at 10:38:16. Corporal, what are you doing in this part of the clip?
I'm putting on some protective latex gloves.
Why are you doing that?
Just because of the call that came in and assault, I might have to go hands-on with somebody, and I prefer to keep my hands as clean as possible.
What does going hands-on mean?
Just because they're an assault, there could be a suspect. I don't know if they're violent or not, so if I have to place my hands on them to detain them, I'd rather have my hands protected.
You mean physically place your hands on a person?
Correct.
We're going to play at 10:38:16. Corporal Chen, I'm pausing at 10:38:50. What are you doing waiting?
I'm trying to see if there's any other backup come in, if I can hear anything inside the trail, see if the suspect is around, just trying to not to just rush in to the situation.
Okay, playing at 10:38:50. Corporal, what are we seeing at, I'm pausing at 10:39:33. What are we seeing in this portion of the clip?
We're seeing the reporting person on the left, that's Sarah Bushbaum, the complainant, that Ariel Konig in the middle, and then the other witness, Amanda Morris, heading down the trail.
I'm going to play at 10:39:33.
What's going to do that to me? It's nothing for a bad person. It's all right. It's murder.
Corporal, I'm pausing at 10:40:54. What are you doing at this point?
So right now I'm trying to determine if a crime had occurred. If a crime did occur, I'm trying to find out.
Pause you right there.
I'm sorry.
What are you physically doing? I saw your phone in your hand just a moment ago. What are you doing with your phone?
I'm about ready to take a picture and then see if I could locate the suspect as well, because that's my work phone, so we're able to search up people.
Is that the same picture that you showed us yesterday?
Yes.
Okay. Playing at 10:40:54.
Thank God there were nurses there. So they knew exactly what to do. They were angels. Every day.
Okay, Corporal, I'm pausing at 10:41:45. Is it fair to say you see you kind of crouched down towards the ground at this point?
Yes.
What are you doing at this point?
I'm trying to get any details on the suspect, on what he was wearing, his description, so I can put it out over the radio.
Okay, Corporal, I'm going to scoot ahead a little bit in time with the body cam. So now I'm scrolling ahead. And I'm pausing at 10:43:07. Is this where you're still in the gathering information stage?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to play at 10:43:07. Corporal, pausing at 10:43:45. Were you able to speak to Miss Konig at this time?
Yes.
Without getting into what was said, and before I ask that question, had you ever met Ariel Konig before March 24, 2025?
No.
So do you know what her voice was normally like?
No.
Despite that, did you make any observations regarding her voice as you spoke to her that day?
It sounded weak and kind of, she took a lot of pauses, out of breath, understandable.
Playing at 10:43:45.
Why I'm single. You must be tripping because
All right, now I'm pausing the video at 10:44:28.
trying to inject her.
Corporal Chun, did you eventually go up the trail that day?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to scoot forward ahead in your body worn camera just a little bit to where you enter the trail. So I'm scrolling forward in States Exhibit 232. All right, and starting to play at 10:50:07 timestamp. Sorry, Corporal John, I'm gonna pause here at 10:51:39. Where's your hand right now?
I believe it's on the ground.
On the ground or your knee?
I have no idea. I think I was just trying not to pass out.
Corporal John, are you a hiker?
No, no.
Oh no.
Okay, sorry for that pause. I'll move on. We'll play at 10:51:39. Corporal John, I'm pausing now at 10:53:24. What are we looking at this part of the trail?
I think that's sort of towards the top of where like the steep part ends. So that I believe that's Corporal Bulligai. I'm not too sure. I can't tell too much, but still, this isn't the scene of the incident.
I'm gonna play at 10:53:24. I'm gonna probably pause again real quick. Okay, Corporal John. On the right side of the screen, what do you see on the far right?
I see a sheer fall.
Okay. Do you know how tall the drop is?
No, not 100% sure, but it's very very far.
And what were the wind conditions like that day?
They're pretty windy. Usually over there, it's kind of windy.
Playing now 10:53:36. All right, now I'm going to go back just a couple frames here, Corporal. So I'm going to rewind 10 seconds and I'm going to play again. So we're starting again at 10:53:57. What's on the right side of the screen here?
Just more, well, just another cliff. We're still on the edge of the cliff this way.
Okay. Playing at 10:54:06. Okay, Corporal, and pausing at 10:54:22. What do you see on the screen here?
It looks like an article of clothing that Corporal Wu found on the trail.
Okay. I'm going to take the video off of the screen for now. Okay, Corporal Chan. Almost there. I'm gonna now approach you with what's been marked as State's Exhibit 242, previously from the Defense Council. Okay, may I approach?
Yes.
Okay, Corporal Chan, do you recognize what I've handed you there?
Yes.
Okay, and that's State's Exhibit 242.
Oh.
Can you check the back?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recognize what is it?
Yeah, it's more body cam footage.
Okay. And is this your entire body cam or just a clip?
Just a clip.
And what does this clip fairly and accurately depict a portion of the earlier body cam we watched with sound?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a fair and accurate depiction of what you observed on March 24th, 2025?
Yes.
At this point, the state will move Exhibit 232 into evidence.
We're still talking. 232 or
I'm sorry, 242.
242? No objection given. Subject to the record that we made this morning would have been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 242, received into evidence.
I'm going to reserve publishing for the moment. I'm going to collect both exhibits from the witness.
Please.
And handing both to the court. Okay, Corporal Chun, did everything you testified to occur in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Cross-examination, so we're talking. Thank you. Good morning, Corporal Chan.
Morning.
Did you meet with the prosecutor to, I guess, practice or prepare your testimony?
Practice? No, just review footage and go over notes.
Right. Like you met with him and he went over you what he was going to ask you, right?
Oh, yes.
So, for example, this thing about it being really windy that day, I mean, that's not in your report, is it?
No.
Okay.
But I've hiked there before and it's always pretty windy.
No, I understand that. So I guess I'm just asking, like, it's often windy, you know that, right?
Yes.
Okay. But as far as that day, you didn't put in your report the weather conditions, correct?
No, correct.
Okay. So Corporal, you respond to the scene. We saw the start of your body cam, and looks like you got there relatively quickly. Were you nearby?
Yes.
Was there an accident nearby that you were attending to before?
Yes.
And it was at the tunnels?
Correct.
Okay. So you were kind of like right nearby to look up because you were responding to an accident at the tunnels when you got the call, correct?
Yes.
So from there, you quickly got to the scene, and it looks like, I mean, at least to the parking lot, and it looks like you got there a little after 10:30 a.m. on March 25th, correct?
Correct.
Now, as we just watched the body cam, after kind of getting getting ready and observing things, you kind of went up the entrance and you saw 3 females walking down out of the trail, correct?
Correct.
And the complainant was standing on her feet and walking down with the assistance of the 2 witnesses on her each side, correct?
Correct.
Now, you mentioned your body cam being on. I wanted to ask you a little bit about body cams.
Okay.
On that day, were you assigned to? Are you on what's called patrol?
Yes.
And at HPD, patrol officers wear body cams, correct?
Correct.
And the idea behind the body cam, when we say cam, it's camera, I guess, right? Is that the body camera allows you to record what you do, what other people do that you're interacting with, what is said, what you say, that can be all recorded on a body camera, right?
Correct.
And each PD has patrol officers wear body cameras, correct?
Yes.
Now, I'm also going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 177. May I approach? Officer, when you were here the other day, I had you watch a few clips, and then I had you initial the clip. Is that your initial?
Yes.
Okay, so this was a clip of your body cam showing the 3 individuals walking down the trail, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I move D177 into evidence.
Mr. Barnett. No objection. What is it marked for identification as Exhibit D177 is received into evidence?
Could we please publish it, Mr. Dirks? Okay, let's watch this. And again, we just saw this, but it's a clip out of the smaller one. So that's the 3 individuals walking, right?
Correct.
And to be clear, Miss Konig, although she has people on the side of her, she is walking, correct?
Correct.
And that area, it's kind of, there's some rocky areas that, I mean, on the ground as you get further down, and it's not like a paved concrete path or anything, correct?
Correct.
And you see them doing that, and you didn't tell them stop, put her down, or wait. You thought it was okay the way she was walking down, yes?
Well, to get her safely to the parking lot area.
Right. Right. You were okay letting them continue to do that, yes?
Yes.
And right here, one witness let go of her, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
Now
they're doing.
we can take that down. And at least from the time that you started dealing with Miss Konig, she was conscious, yes?
Yes.
You mentioned that you start to ask Miss Konig some questions about what happened, correct?
Correct.
You mentioned part of it is you gather information to try to figure out what's going on, yes?
Yes.
Now, you said today that, her voice sounded, weak, but you never spoke to her before today, correct?
Correct.
But that being said, she was coherent, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And coherent means she was able to understand and answer your questions, yes?
Correct.
And again, you were right at the lookout, you get the call, you rush over there and get there, and then you're interacting with her pretty quickly, yes?
Yes.
So coherent, able to answer questions, and your body cam recorded how she appeared physically, but also how coherent she was and how she was able to respond to your questions, correct?
Correct.
And you tried to collect some background information, ask her some things about, where her husband worked, what he was wearing, how they got there, things like that, yes?
Correct.
Now, I'm going to approach, Your Honor, please, with D182. Okay. And again, last week, Corporal, I asked you to watch a clip and another one and asked you to initial it. Is that your initials?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And this was a clip of at least not all, but a portion of when you were gathering background information from Miss Konig, correct?
Correct.
And this would demonstrate, at least, how her ability to answer, her how coherent she was and her consciousness at the time, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to move D182 into evidence.
Mr. Barnett.
Is there an accurate depiction of what you saw Ms. Konig responding to your questions with on March 24th?
I'm sorry, are you objecting or what?
I'm glad you did.
Well, you need to ask permission to do that first, so,
Are you objecting?
Can I have one here?
well, I'll just ask, is this a fair and accurate depiction of how she appeared that day?
A portion of it, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Then,
Your Honor, I move D182 into evidence.
Mr. Barnett.
subject to that foundation, no objection.
And what is the mark for identification of Exhibit 2182 is received into evidence?
I'm sorry, D182.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry,
2182.
I misheard. May we please, well, So this was, again, you got there within minutes probably, right? One second. Yeah, you got there within minutes, yes?
Yes.
Okay, the call comes in, 911 call, dispatch tells you you're there within minutes, and you're interacting with her minutes, within minutes of the call, correct?
Correct.
If we could please publish D182.
Where does he work?
He works for TMG at Maui Memorial Medical Center. TMG's called it
At Maui
Memorial, yeah. What TMG's a group of anesthesiologists.
Did you guys drive here today?
Yeah,
Which is your car?
it's a Nissan Rogue.
Do you remember the license plate? If not, that's okay.
It's not our car, we live on that.
What color is it? The Nissan.
It's like black or it's gray. It's gray. Can someone just wet my mouth? Wet paper towels putting in my mouth so it really works. I don't have any more hearing, so. Sorry, I know. No, you're an angel. Trying to stop the meeting until they get there. I know.
What was Gerhardt wearing today?
Wearing like a light gray shirt and like dark blue or light blue shorts, like athletic shorts. Thank you. So that's all I needed.
How tall is he?
5'9". Yes, sir.
About how much does he weigh?
160.
60. What kind of hair does he have? Short or?
Short brown. It's not super cropped. It's like a little longer on the top. No, he has
Yeah. Does he have facial hair?
no.
Husband wife.
Okay, you can take that down. Officer, that's a fair and accurate depiction of Ms. Konig's level of consciousness when you're interacting with her a few minutes after you got the call, yes?
Yes.
Fair and accurate depiction of how coherent she was a few minutes after you got the call, yes?
Yes.
She was able to articulate to you where her husband worked at TMG, correct?
Correct.
She was able to tell you the type and color of rental car that they had driven there in that morning, yes?
Correct.
She was able to tell you his height and weight, right?
Correct.
Which, by the way, she said 5'9", not 5'10", when she was talking to you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And she knew what he was wearing and could describe what he was wearing, right?
Yes.
All several minutes after you got the 911 call, yes?
Correct.
Corporal Chan, that's your typical aerial patrol, including the poly lookout.
Yes.
And so you've been in that parking lot many times, yes?
Yes.
And it can be a busy parking lot, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, on the morning when you got there, it was a busy parking lot, correct?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to show you what's marked as Exhibit D67. And may I approach?
Yes.
Okay. Officer, last week I also asked you if you could watch D67 for me, and I acknowledge that it's from the body cam of another officer, but I asked you if in watching it, if you could, whether or not it was a fair and accurate depiction of how busy and crowded the parking lot was when you got there that day. You remember me asking you that?
Yes.
And you indicated that it was a fair and accurate depiction of how the parking lot looked when you got there that day, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then I asked you to initial it. Can you initial it? I mean, did you initial that?
Yes.
And this is a fair and accurate depiction of how crowded and busy the parking lot was on that morning, yes?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move D67 into evidence.
Mr. Warner, I have what, Your Honor? Yes. Okay, just to clarify, whose body worn camera is this exhibit?
This was from my scene supervisor, Sergeant Ross Malloy.
Okay, and do you remember what time this body cam is from?
Sorry, I don't really know.
Do you know if this body cam is from when the defendant and Konig actually arrived at the Poly Lookout on the morning of March 24, 2025?
No.
So this body cam is sometime after that,
Correct. During the investigation.
during the investigation, so sometime after 10:30 in the morning.
Correct.
But again, you don't know the exact timestamp?
Correct.
And what's shown in the video, is that something you actually observed yourself?
No.
Okay. Is it showing the area of the Poly Lookout where the Poly Lookout Trail is?
It's a little bit, if you're looking towards like a lookout area, it's a little bit to the right.
Then, thank you. The state will object relevance and lack of foundation.
Sustained.
Officer Malloy got there, Sergeant Malloy got there shortly after you, correct?
Correct.
And the question I asked is when you saw this clip of the parking lot, that's how the parking lot looked when you were there, yes?
Correct.
Okay. And it's a fair and accurate depiction of how the parking lot looked when you got there, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Your Honor, move to it then.
Mr. Garner.
Same objection.
Her state's objection was been marked as exhibit B67 is received.
And obviously, it was not taken at the time that Miss Dr. Konig and the complainant got there because you guys weren't there when that happened, correct?
Correct.
I'm just asking if this is how it looked when you got there, and it is, correct?
Correct.
And again, you got there shortly after the call, correct?
Yes.
Like within minutes, right?
Correct.
Could we please publish the 67, Mr. Dirks? Let's watch this here. Can you make it bigger or? Okay, no problem. Can we press pause, please? So Corporal, this is the parking lot that people use to access both the Poly Lookout and the Poly Puka Trail, correct?
Correct.
Okay, please go ahead and continue to play. Okay, we can take that down. So Corporal, that's how it looked. There was cars and people and tourists in the parking lot when you got there, right?
Yes.
And you hiked in to where you believe the scene was, and it didn't take you too long to get there from the parking lot, correct?
Correct.
At least in the parking lot that morning, tourists, people, cars, busy place, yes?
Yes.
All right. One second, Corporal. Okay, thank you, Corporal Chun. That's all the questions I have for you this morning.
One moment. Of course. Okay, Corporal Chun, good morning again.
Morning.
I apologize if I misspoke and said the wrong name when I was speaking earlier.
Oh,
My bad. Follow up real quick. So you met with Mr. Otake last week as well?
Yes.
So you met with both sides before testifying?
Correct.
In the video clip of Ariel at the end of the trail, on the Poly Puka Trail, to your observation, was she walking normally?
No.
And you discussed with these videos of, or with the video about, you were asked about Ariel's cognitive state, or the video that showed how she was talking. You said a portion. Does the rest of your body cam video have other indications of Ariel's condition?
Well, when I was talking to her, getting the information, she was sitting down, so she didn't have to worry about standing up and talking to me. So I believe that's what kind of helped her kind of concentrate on giving me the information that I needed.
Okay. I'll follow up. You said something about her voice and her breathing. What was that like again?
She was breathing heavy and her voice was a little bit weak to me.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any recross based on what else is there? One moment. Oh, sorry. Can we take a moment?
Yeah.
No further questions. Sorry. Okay. Mr. Otake, recross based on what else on redirect.
Just very briefly, Corporal Chun, this meeting you had with me last week when you were here to testify, to be able to admit these exhibits, I needed to show them to you ahead of time so you can say you initialed them and that this is what they reflected what they were, right?
Correct.
And we went out there for a few minutes and we watched the clips, right?
Correct.
And beyond that, I didn't ask you anything else about what I was going to ask you or go through questions. All I did was show you those clips as we need to do in order to admit it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the meeting you had with the prosecutors, did that take place in person or is that by Zoom or by phone?
By phone.
Okay. And in that meeting, you guys went into what happened and what he was going to go over with you and the questions and things like that. Yes?
Correct.
All right. Thank you, Corporal.
Any other questions for Corporal Chun? No further questions. Corporal, thank you. Thank you. No, what's up? What's that? Mr. Warren, state next witness. State the next witness, be Brittany Kopp.
You do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please have a seat.
Simon, just take a moment here for the TV. Okay, good morning.
Morning.
As you testify this morning, can you please keep the microphone as close to your face as possible and speak into the microphone as much as possible?
Yes.
Can you please state your name?
My name is Brittany Kopp.
Ms. Kopp, what do you do?
I'm an evidence specialist with the Honolulu Police Department.
How long have you been employed by HPD?
8 years.
What was your assignment on March 24, 2025 at around 1:43 p.m.?
I was asked to report to the Pali Lookout to take photographs and possibly recover evidence.
Taking a step back, in general, what are the duties of an evidence specialist?
As an evidence specialist, we work alongside the detectives and they direct us into what kind of photographs we take, diagramming, and then recovery of physical and biological evidence.
And one more time, on March 24, 2025, where were you dispatched to?
The Pali Lookout.
When you arrived at the Pali Lookout, where did you go?
Once I got out of the car, I assumed that we would be going to the scenic route where what I know to be the scenic route, which is a flat ground, but we ended up taking a hike.
So did you expect to be going on a hike on March 24th?
No, I did not expect to be going on any type of hike that day.
Okay. What was the hike that you actually ended up going on?
People call it the Palipuka hike.
And were you actually able to go on the hike yourself?
I was with assistance. I had a camera bag, and at some of the points I had to have the officer carry it for me because I had to use 2 hands to climb up.
What kind of shoes were you wearing?
I was wearing Vans tennis shoes.
The flat bottom kind?
Yes.
Did you actually eventually get up to the trail?
Yes, I got to a part where some of the detectives were waiting.
Okay. And when you got to that point, what were you directed to do?
I was directed to take some photographs of that area, and the detectives also pointed out some red blood-like substances that were also on and near the trail.
Let's start with the photographs. approach with what's been marked as State's Exhibit 31 through 67 previously provided. Your Honor, may I approach the witness? You may. Ms. Kopp, I've handed you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 31 through State's Exhibit 67. I know that's a big stack, so could you just take a moment, look through, and when you're finished looking through all the exhibits, look up and let me know you're done. Okay, so do you recognize that stack of exhibits?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what are they?
These are the photographs that I took on March 24th
March 24th of 2025.
of 2025.
And you say you were the one who took these photos?
Yes,
Do these photos fairly and accurately depict the Palipuca Trail as you were up there and as you observed it on March 24th, 2025?
yes.
The state now moves State's Exhibit 31 through 67 into evidence.
No objection. What has been marked for identification as State's Exhibits 31 through 67 inclusive will be received into evidence.
Okay, Ms. Kopp, we're gonna publish them one by one. So I'm gonna publish State's 31 right now. And we've got that on the screen next to you. And just so you know, to your right-hand side on the witness stand, there's a pointer stick that if you need to refer to anything on the TV screen, can you please use that?
Okay.
Okay, with State's Exhibit 31 on the screen now, first of all, can you tell us what is this photo showing?
This is showing the main trail that I was on, and this is where I was instructed to start taking photographs.
You say main trail. How many trails were you looking at up there?
There was this main trail, and then there was an area to the right of us that looked like it was kind of like a side trail to go off to walk towards the cliff area.
All right, and from this photograph, or Exhibit 31, you said you're looking at the main trail?
That's correct.
Are you looking up or down the main trail?
Looking up the trail.
And this side trail you mentioned, where would that be in orientation to State's Exhibit 31?
It would be to the right.
Is it actually pictured in this photo?
No.
All right, we're going to now publish State's Exhibit 32. Okay, Ms. Kopp, we have State's Exhibit 32 on the screen. What is this photo showing us?
So this is a view of the right of where I was standing. Where the pointer is pointed, this is a hole in the bush that we're looking at, and then here is kind of where you can see impressions in the leaves, kind of like the side trail that I'm talking about.
Okay, so the impressions that you were pointing at in the bottom of the screen was the side trail.
That's correct.
And what's on the far right of this photo?
The far right, that's going to be the cliff area.
All right, moving on now to State's Exhibit 33. Okay, Ms. Kopp, what are we looking at in State's Exhibit 33?
This is a view of the hole in the bush here, and then here is to the left is the main trail, and then you can see this is the side trail.
Got it. Okay. So the main trail is on
The
The-
left of the picture.
left side of this photo. And when you say the hole in the bush, is that the term you're going to use throughout the rest of your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. All right, publishing now State's Exhibit 34. Okay, Ms. Kopp, what are we looking at in this photo?
That is going to be in the top right corner, you can see the cliff area, and then here towards the middle bottom is the side trail. And closer to the left side of the photo, that's going to be the hole in the bush.
Okay, so which direction are you facing then for this photo? Are you facing towards the main trail or towards the side trail for this photo?
I'm facing towards the side trail.
Publishing now State's Exhibit 35 up on the screen. Ms. Kopp, what does this photo show?
That shows a closer view of the cliff view area.
At this point where you're taking this photo, are you on the main trail or the side trail?
I am on the main trail and I just zoomed in.
I see. So between State's Exhibit, I'm going to publish them both together. So the left side is going to be State's Exhibit 32. The right side is going to be State's Exhibit. I'm sorry, I'm misstating myself. The left side is State's Exhibit 35, and the right side is going to be State's Exhibit 34. Okay, can you describe what you mean by zoomed in?
So using my camera, I just used the zoom, what do you say, on my camera so that I'm standing in the same area, but I'm just getting a more zoomed in view of the cliff area.
Okay, so these two photos on the screen, Exhibits 34 on the right and 35 on the left, taken from the same place?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Kopp, we're going to move on now to State's Exhibit 36. What do we see in this photo, State's Exhibit 36?
In the middle, you can see there's kind of like the depression or like where the side trail goes through. And up further here is the hole in the bush.
So you directed the middle of the screen, the dirt patch, is that the side trail you're mentioning?
Yes.
Okay, and the hole in the bush is?
A little more, is kind of to the left of the side trail.
Publishing State's Exhibit now 37. Okay, what happened with this photo?
This photo is a little, it's underexposed, but I was taking a photograph of a rock that was pointed out by one of the detectives.
So did you find this rock that's in this photo yourself?
No.
Okay. And
Sorry, what exhibit is this?
State's 37.
Okay, thank you.
And before I get any further, when you say underexposed, how does the photo get underexposed?
Underexposed meaning either due to the shade, because there's a lot of trees, could be a factor. Also that my flash didn't fire, so that's why there wasn't enough light when the photo was taken.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on to State's Exhibit 38. Publishing now. Okay, Ms. Kopp, was your flash working for this photo?
Yes.
What are we looking at in this photo?
So right in the center of the photo, you can see the rock here.
Okay. And again, this is, to reiterate, not something that you found yourself, but something you were directed to.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to take a pause and take State's Exhibit 38 down. And I'm going to ask you a little bit about the rock.
Okay.
After you were directed your attention towards the rock, what did you do about that rock?
After photographing it, we put it into a clean paper bag.
And what did you do with the paper bag when you were done up at the poly that day?
Once I was done at the scene, I took it back to the main office where I packaged it properly with tamper evidence tape. And I later that day turned it into the evidence room.
And did you turn it into Eric Nagayama at the evidence room?
Yes, I did.
From the time that you collected the rock and sealed it up and turned it into Eric Nagayama, from the time that you collected it to the time you turned it in, was it in your sole custody and control?
Yes, it was.
During that time, did you tamper with, alter, substitute, or destroy any part of the rock?
No.
And at this point, I'm going to approach with what's been marked as State's Exhibit. I'm sorry, what will be marked as State's Exhibit 2. And need to take a real quick. All right, and this has previously been shown to defense counsel.
Thank you.
Ms. Kopp, I've handed you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 2. Could you, without showing the jury, look into that bag that I just handed you? Okay, do you recognize what's in that bag?
Yes.
What is it?
It is item 2, the rock that I recovered.
Is item 2 that rock in the same or substantially the same condition as when you recovered it on March 24th, 2025?
Yes.
At this point, Your Honor, the state will move to admit State's Exhibit 2 into evidence.
Mr. Otake,
No objection.
what has been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 2 is received into evidence?
And Your Honor, I'd like permission to publish to the jury.
Granted.
And could I publish by handing it to the jurors to pass around for a moment?
Is it sealed?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Now retrieve the exhibit from the jury. Thank you. I'm going to hand exhibit 2 to the court clerk.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Kopp. I'm going to get back into the photos you took that day. So I'm now going to publish on the screen State's Exhibit 225. What does this photo show?
That is another view of the rock.
Publishing now states exhibit, states exhibit 40, and I misspoke. The last exhibit was 39.
Thank you.
So now publishing states exhibit 40. Ms. Kopp, what are we looking at in states exhibit 40?
I am standing in the side trail and I am looking up to the main trail. And I think due to the lighting of the way it's projecting on the TV, the branches here have blood-like stains on them.
Okay, and you directed the attention to the branches in the middle of the side trail.
Yes.
I'm going to zoom in to states exhibit 40. Okay. Can you describe what we're seeing in this zoomed in portion?
So it's just a close-up of the branches from the photo we were just looking at. And again, I think due to the exposure from the TV, but you can kind of see some red color here.
Taking states exhibit 40 down and publishing states exhibit 41. Ms. Kopp, what does this photo show?
This is a view of the main trail, and I am looking kind of at where the there's blood-like stains here, and the branches are in the right cornered area. That's the zoomed in area we were looking at earlier.
Okay. I'm sorry. Main trail or side trail?
This is the main trail.
Okay. Have you moved from where the last photo was taken?
I believe I'm now standing in the main trail so that I can take a photo of the blood-like stains here.
Okay. And you're directing to the bottom middle left portion of the screen?
Yes.
Zoom in. Okay. And what are you seeing in this zoomed in portion from the bottom middle left part of the screen?
There's some blood-like stains on the leaves and the ground area.
Taking exhibit 41 down and publishing exhibit 42. Ms. Kopp, what do we see in this photo?
This is another view of the ground area, and I am trying to get a close-up view of the leaf here, which has red blood-like stains on it.
Okay. And is that in the center of the photo?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to zoom in states exhibit 42 to the middle of the photo as you just indicated. Okay. Can you describe for us what we see in this zoomed in portion of the middle?
There are some red blood-like stains on the leaves there.
Okay, now publishing states exhibit 43. Ms. Kopp, what are we looking at in states exhibit 43?
This is another view. I am standing on the main trail, and to the left of the trail, kind of off to the middle here on this leaf, there is red blood-like stains on them.
That's a leaf in the left center of the photograph.
Yes.
Do you take other zoomed in photographs of this leaf?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to move on to them. States exhibit 44 being published right now. What does this photo show?
It's a zoomed in photo of that same leaf with the blood-like stain.
And again, publishing now states exhibit 45.
Another view of the same leaf with the blood-like stains on it.
Okay. States exhibit 46 now.
This is another photo of that same leaf with the red blood-like stains on it.
Got it. All right. States exhibit 47 now. Being published, could you tell us what this photo is of?
This is a view of the main trail. So I believe I went back and I stood in the side trail area and I angled my camera towards the main trail to get this photograph.
Okay. Are you looking up or down the main trail at this point?
Looking up.
Now publishing states exhibit 48.
This is another, I'm standing in the side trail still, and I took another photo looking up at the main trail.
Now publishing states exhibit 49. Ms. Kopp, what do we see in this photo?
I moved back into the main trail and my camera is pointed up the trail. In the top right corner, you can see a white piece of clothing.
Do you take zoomed in photos of this as well?
I believe once I get closer to the item, I take close up.
I'm just asking so I don't have to zoom in on.
Oh,
this
okay, yes,
specific
sorry.
photo. Okay, States Exhibit 50 now. Publishing. What do we see in this one?
I'm getting closer to that white piece of clothing, still on the main trail walking up.
Now publishing States Exhibit 51.
This is a close-up view of that item of clothing.
Publishing States Exhibit 52. Can you tell us what's in this one? I'm sorry.
Okay, so in this photograph, I walked past the item, so I'm now kind of at the top of the trail, we're gonna call it, and the piece of clothing is now on the left side.
Okay, when we say top of the trail, is this like close to the top as far as you went?
Yes,
Okay. And which direction are you looking at the trail at this point, up or down?
I'm looking down.
Publishing States Exhibit 53. What does this exhibit show?
I'm still at the top of the trail looking down. The clothing item is still in the photo, and that hole in the bush that I was speaking about earlier is gonna be here to the left.
And that's the same hole in the bush that you saw on the side trail?
Yes,
Now publishing States Exhibit 54. What does this exhibit show?
it's another view of the seam. I'm standing at the top of the main trail looking down.
Any difference in flash in these two photos?
I think the flash is better here, so the photo's brighter.
Gotcha. Now publishing States Exhibit 55. Ms. Kopp, what is this photo showing?
In this photo, I am still at the top of the trail, but I moved to where the item of clothing was recovered, and I'm shooting downwards to get that view.
Okay. So you're still standing at the top of where you went on the trail?
Yes.
Okay. Are you zoomed in at all at this point?
I might be a little zoomed in, but I know that I did take a few steps forward because the item of clothing is no longer in the photograph.
Gotcha. Okay. So you took a couple steps down the trail before
Yes.
taking this exhibit. States Exhibit now 56.
I walked further a few more steps down from the previous photo, and I'm still shooting down the trail. And I know this because some of the detectives were waiting for me to finish photographs, and there you can see feet at the top center here.
In the top center of the photograph, that's somebody's legs and shoes.
Yes.
Got it. Where's the side trail in proportion to this?
The side trail is going to be to the left side.
Is it to the left side of where you're standing?
I would see it would be a little bit more up, but it's before the detectives that were waiting, so it's like here, the side trail.
Got it. Okay. States Exhibit now 57. What are we looking at in this exhibit?
There is some blood-like stains again to the right on some of the right greenage leaf area there. So here.
Okay, you've directed the pointer probably as far as you can reach, but to the middle of the screen right now?
Yes.
And what you're referencing is just to a little bit to the right middle.
Yes.
I'm going to zoom in. To the right middle portion of the screen. Is this what you are referencing as blood-like stains?
Yes.
Publishing now States Exhibit 58. Ms. Kopp, what does States Exhibit 58 show?
This is a close-up view of the branches from the previous image.
Okay. And I got to ask, I see something in the top right corner. What is that?
A shoe.
Is that one of the police officers you mentioned earlier?
Yes.
Got it. And then where are you on the trail as you're taking this photo?
I'm standing on the main trail and I believe I'm still coming down the trail.
Okay. Where are you in relation to the side trail?
The side trail is still going to be to the left.
All right, publishing now states exhibit 59.
This photo, I walked back up the trail to where the item of the clothing item was recovered from. And this is kind of where I'm going to refer to the hole in the bushes here.
And you've pointed to the left middle portion of the screen, and that's the hole in the bush.
Yes,
Is that the same hole in the bush you referenced when discussing the side trail?
yes.
Does that hole in the bush go all the way from the side trail through to the main trail?
I believe it did. I did not walk through myself, but I know that the hole that we were talking about earlier and this hole is coming from that same bush.
Got it. Publishing now states exhibit 60. What does this photo show?
This is, I'm still standing at the top of the trail looking in through that hole in the bush. And I'm kneeling now so that I can get a photo of the blood-like stains here that are on the ground.
And did you take any close-up photos of those blood-like stains?
I think I have one more photograph.
Publishing now states exhibit 61. What does this photograph show?
So this is another photo, kind of a zoomed in photo of the blood-like stains seen in the previous photograph.
Okay, and can you direct us to where those blood-like stains are on this exhibit?
Going to be in the center of the photo.
And is there, how many stains are there that you can see?
I see two. So there's one in the center and then one more towards the bottom center.
Okay, now moving on to publishing states exhibit 62. Ms. Kopp, what does states exhibit 62 show?
This is the cliff area. So the detective wanted me to, using the side trail, to go and take a photograph of that cliff area.
Okay. So this is a different, are you taking this photo in the same place as the last photo or a different place?
A different place.
Okay. So at this point, have you walked to the end of the side trail?
Yes.
Publishing now states exhibit 63. Ms. Kopp, what are we seeing in states exhibit 63?
So from where I was previously standing looking out towards the cliff, if I turn around, this is what I saw. This is the hole in the bush.
Okay.
In the center there.
Did you take any additional photos of this hole in the bush from the side trail or cliff side?
I think I have a zoomed in photo.
We'll publish now states exhibit 64. What does states exhibit 64 show?
So this is a zoomed in photo of the previous photo, and there is blood-like stains there in the middle.
Okay, I'm going to pull up a side-by-side now between states exhibit 64, which is going to remain on the left, and states exhibit 61 on the right. So states exhibit 64, where was those stains located?
Those are from the front view. That makes sense.
Sorry, are these different stains or the same?
I believe they're different stains.
Are they, so you said they're both from the hole in the bush?
Yes, so like they're, like I said, off of the main trail where I previously was taking that first pull under the bush, that it was a little further up.
Got it. Okay.
And then like this is from the front of that bush.
Okay. Same hole in the bush or different hole?
The same hole.
All right. Now publishing states exhibit 65. What do we see in states exhibit 65, Ms. Kopp?
65, I am now back at the top of the trail. And here to the like left middle, that is going to be the hole in the bush.
Right. And publishing now states exhibit 66. What do we see in this exhibit?
It's another view right there in the center is kind of like the hole in the bush.
Got it. And last photo for now, States Exhibit 67.
And that is just a zoomed in photograph of the previous image.
Got it. All right. Take the photos down for a moment, Ms. Kopp.
So, all right, can I call a quick recess here?
Yes.
We've been going for a while. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a short recess, 10-minute recess. Ms. Albuquerque will get you at 11:55. Then a short session up until 12:30 before we break for our lunch. Leave your notebooks on the chair. All right. Ms. Kopp is on the stand, still in role. And Mr. Garner, you may continue on with your direct examination. Again, short session until we get to 12:30.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Kopp, in addition to taking the photos we went through already this morning, and collecting item number 2, the rock, did you collect any other evidence from the Polypoca Trail?
The item of clothing, which I believe was a cardigan, was also recovered, and I recovered some swabs.
Okay. How many swabs?
4.
And just in general, how do you collect an evidence swab?
If the swab is a dry substance or whatever we're swabbing is dry, the sterile swabs are removed from its pouch. We use distilled water to wet the tips just with just 1 drop of water. The swabs are then rubbed over whatever we're trying to swab. If the substance or area that we're swabbing is wet, the water is not added to the swabs, but the same sterile swabs are wiped over the wet substance.
And what did you end up swabbing on March 24, 2025?
I swabbed the leaf that I took multiple photographs of. That was to the side of the main trail. I also swabbed the leaf that was on the ground on the main trail. And I also swabbed that branch area and I swabbed that blood-like stain that I could see there.
So the when you say from the front, is that from the side trail side or from the main trail side?
After coming off of the side trail, like I said, I was facing the cliffside, and when you turn around, the bush was right behind.
Got it. Could you, real quickly for a moment, just thumb through the exhibits that you have up there with you and pick an exhibit that shows where each swab was? Already?
Yes.
Okay. And the first swab you mentioned, was that the swab of a flood-like stain recovered from a plant off the trail?
Yes.
Okay. What exhibit is the photograph that shows that?
Exhibit 46.
I'm going to put that up on the screen. Publishing now states exhibit 46. Okay. And could you direct us on the screen to the area you swabbed?
So I swabbed this area here, the red blood-like stain there.
And was that swab designated as evidence item number 3 under HPD report 25-110958?
Yes.
Now taking down to exhibit 46. For the second swab you took, is that the one you mentioned was the of a blood-like stain recovered from a plant from the leaf on the trail.
Yes,
Okay, could you tell us what exhibit shows that?
exhibit 42.
Publishing now states exhibit 42. Okay, and which area of this photo did you take that swab from?
In the middle here, the leaf that's on the ground there.
I'm going to zoom into this exhibit. Okay, could you point us now to the leaf that you swabbed?
Sorry, it's kind of blown out here, but right here, you can kind of see the red color.
And was this submitted as evidence item number 4 under HPD report 25-110958?
Yes.
Okay, the third swab you took, I think you mentioned, I'm taking down the exhibit, I'm sorry. Third swab that you took, it was the blood-like stain recovered from the tree branch, is that right?
Yes.
And could you tell us which exhibit shows where you took that swab?
Exhibit 40.
Now publishing states exhibit 40. Okay, could you show us on this exhibit where you took that swabbing from?
So it's going to be from the branches located here.
The branches in the middle right of the photo?
Yes.
I'm going to zoom in. Okay, could you point us out to where the blood-like substance that you swabbed was?
That would be here, this area here.
And you're directing us to the left side of those branches.
Yes.
And was this swab of the branches from right next to the trail, was that designated as item number 5 under HPD report 25-110958?
Yes.
Okay, and the last swab you mentioned, where was that from?
I recovered it standing from the front of using the side trail and then viewing the hole in the bush from that side, from the front of it. I swabbed the blood-like stain that was located where I could see from there.
Okay. And what exhibit shows that best?
40, exhibit 64.
64. Publishing states exhibit 64. Okay, and then could you show us where you swabbed on this exhibit?
This area here.
And you're pointing to the center of the photograph. And was this swab of the blood-like stain on the ground under the bush, the hole in the bush as we've been calling it, designated as item number 6 under HPD report 25-110958?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to take these down. Now, you've told us what a swab is, where you took it. After you take the swab, what do you do with the actual piece that you take?
The swabs have like a capture over it, so it keeps it not sterile, but it protects it from getting contaminated. The swabs are then placed in a self-sealing pouch, and we later seal it with tamper evidence tape.
And did you follow that procedure in this case?
Yes.
And then after you sealed up the swab in the pouch with the cap, with the tamper-proof tape, where did you take it?
Once getting back to the main station, I created evidence sheets and I turned it into the evidence room.
And was that to Eric Nagayama?
Yes.
And from the time that you collected the swabs labeled as items 3, 4, 5, and 6, to the time you gave the swabs to Eric Nagayama at the HPD evidence room, were they in your sole custody and control?
Yes.
During that time, did you tamper with, alter, substitute, or destroy the contents of any of those 4 items?
No.
During that time, did anybody else open the self-sealing package at all?
No.
Okay. One last section, Ms. Scott. In addition to your work at the scene on the Pali-Puka Trail, did you also participate in the execution of a search warrant on a black Nike bag listed as item number 47 under HPD report 25-110958?
Yes.
What was your role in the execution of that search warrant?
I was assisting taking photograph of its contents.
I'm going to approach now with what's been marked as States Exhibit 87 to States Exhibit 103, previously shown to defense. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
And I'm going to collect all the other exhibits from the Okay, Ms. Kopp, could you take a look through what I've just handed you, and when you're done, look up? Okay. Do you recognize what I've handed you?
Yes,
What are these?
these are photographs from the search warrant I assisted with.
And do these photographs fairly and accurately depict that bag that you helped execute the search warrant on and took photographs of, as well as the contents of that bag?
Yes.
At this point, the state will move State's Exhibit 87 to 103 into evidence.
Mr. Subject to our previous record,
Yes.
what has been marked for identification as State's Exhibits 87 to 103 inclusive will be received into evidence.
And for the record, the state will reserve publishing on these exhibits for now.
Thank you.
I'm going to collect the exhibits from you, Ms. Kopp. Okay. Ms. Kopp, did everything you testified to occur in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you.
I'm going to hand the exhibits to the clerk.
Please.
I'm going to hand exhibit to the clerk as well.
Thank you. Mr. Osaki, cross-examination.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, yes, John, 1 second. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
Just a few questions for you. I know it's getting close to time to eat. Keep it quick. Now, how long have you been an evidence specialist?
8 years.
8 years. And part of that, you received training and from HPD about how to go about your job, yes?
Yes.
And on the date of this incident, when you went there and took these photographs that we've been discussing, you were not that morning, you didn't know you were going to have to go on a hike that morning, correct?
That's correct.
And so you were in, I think you said Vans, tennis shoes,
Yes.
and you walked up the hike.
Yes.
Now, you arrived at the scene at 1:43 p.m. in the afternoon, yes?
Yes.
And we know that because you document that in your report, yes?
Yes.
So 1:43 p.m., that was approximately, well, that's a little over 3 hours after 10:30 a.m., yes?
Yes.
11, 12, yeah. A little over 3 hours after 10:30 a.m., correct?
Yes.
And so it's safe to say that the responding officers, the first officers there, had arrived at the alleged scene a lot earlier than you, yes?
I suppose I'm not like I don't know specifically what time they arrived, but yes.
Yeah, like, and all I mean is you weren't the first person from HPD there, correct?
Correct.
So there was a responding officer named Officer Wu who testified that he was one of the first officers there. He would have been there before you, correct?
Yes.
Now, you go up on this trail and you take some photographs of the rock, yes?
Yes.
Let's, if we could we please pull up State's Exhibit 37? Okay. Let's maybe go to number 38. Sorry. Okay, 38. So this is a picture of the rock that you took, correct?
Correct.
And let me ask you this: when as an evidence specialist, do you agree? And part of your training, you want to document and photograph evidence, ideally in the location it was initially discovered, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In other words, that's part of what you're doing. You're there to document evidence and show where it was when. So when you got up there, you took a picture of this rock, and it was right in that area there with the leaves around it and whatnot. Yes.
Yes, sir.
And this would have been after the first officers, including Officer Wu, got there, correct?
Yes.
Could we please, Mr. Dirks, pull up what's already in evidence marked as State's Exhibit 6? Okay. So you see here, this is State's Exhibit 6. And the rock is kind of in that clearing little pathway.
Yes.
Okay. And that's not where you photographed it, was it?
No.
Can we put Exhibit 6, this was introduced to Officer Wu. Can we put Exhibit 6 next to Exhibit 34 if that's possible, Mr. Dirks? If possible, if not, it's okay. Exhibit 6 and, Exhibit 6 and 38. Okay. So when you got there, you took a photo of it on the right, this one on the right, correct? And that's
Yes.
the rock there, yes?
Correct.
Exhibit 6 shows it in the middle of the walkway, yes?
Yes.
Okay, we can take that down. When you testified today, the prosecutor didn't ask you about that. Did you know that it had been moved before you photographed it?
No.
You thought you were photographing it where it was initially discovered, correct?
Yes.
And that's kind of an important piece of information, isn't it, ma'am? In terms of, as an evidence specialist, if you're going to photograph something and kind of represent that's where it was found, it's kind of important. And I'm not blaming you, right? Obviously, nobody told you, but it's important. It's important. You know, if you're photographing something where it had been moved and not where it was initially found, that's kind of an important thing to maybe note in your report or know as an evidence specialist, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And in fact, had you been told that by the officers that it had been moved, you probably would have documented that, yes?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. No further questions. Thank you.
Any reader?
No, thank you.
Let's go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Officer.
Next witness will be Mohammed Salame.
Raise your right hand, please.
You do solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please have a seat. Thank you.
Good afternoon. And before you start testifying, could you just take the microphone as close to you as possible and speak into the microphone as much as possible, okay? All right, can you please state your name?
My name is Mohammed Salame.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a police evidence specialist with the Honolulu Police Department.
How long you've been employed by HPD?
About 3 years.
What was your assignment on March 25th, 2025 around 5:40 p.m.?
To take photographs and collect evidence, DNA reference sample.
In taking a step back, in general, what are the duties of an evidence specialist?
To process and document crime scenes, including individuals, through the use of photography, diagramming, and evidence collection.
And on that date at 5:40 p.m., what type of evidence were you assigned to collect under HPD report 25-110958?
A DNA reference sample or a buccal swab?
And what is a buccal swab?
Buccal swab is a swab sample used to reference a known DNA sample.
And where would you collect a buccal swab from?
The interior cheek area of the mouth of an individual.
And who did you collect a buccal swab from in this case?
Mr. Gerhardt, Konig?
And before you collect the buccal swab, do you document or photograph the person you're collecting the swab from?
I do.
At this point, Your Honor, I'm going to ask to approach with what's been marked as States Exhibit 129, States 238, and States 239.
Yes.
Previously shown. Can I approach the witness?
Yes.
Mr. Solomon, I've handed you what's been marked as States Exhibit 129, 238, and 239. Could you take a look at those 3 exhibits, and when you're done, look up? Do you recognize what I've handed you?
Yes.
What are these?
These are photographs of Mr. Konig.
And you took these photographs?
I did.
And again, was that on March 25th, 2025 at around 5:40 p.m.?
Yes.
Do these photographs fairly and accurately depict Gerhardt Konig on that date and time?
Yes.
At this point, the state will move States Exhibit 129, 238, and 239 into evidence.
Mr. O'Clock is subject to our previous record.
No objection, thank you.
And what has been marked for identification as States Exhibits 129, 238, and 239 will be received into evidence.
Thank you. I'm going to retrieve the exhibits from you, Mr. Salome.
Okay.
And again, we will reserve publishing for the moment. Okay. Could you walk us through the mechanics of how you actually collected the buccal swab from Mr. Konig?
Of course.
Or Dr. Konig, I'm sorry.
I start with a new pair of gloves, new pair of swab. I begin by swabbing or collecting the sample from the interior cheek area, left and right cheek area, also known as the buccal. And then after collecting the sample, I cap the sample, place it into a self-seal envelope, and then seal it into a manila envelope.
And is that the way you actually collected the sample on March 25th, 2025 in this case?
Yes.
After you collected the swab and sealed it, what did you do with it?
I submitted it to the evidence room.
Okay. And who did you give it to at the HPD evidence room?
Ms. Jeanette Moses.
And did you do that on March 26, 2025?
I did.
From the time that you collected the buccal swab from Gerhardt Konig on March 25th, 2025, to the time that you submitted it to Ms. Moses on March 26, 2025, was the swab in your sole custody and control?
It was, yes.
And also, was the swab designated as evidence item number 45 under HPD report 25-110958?
Yes.
During that time, from the time you took the swab to the time you submitted it, was it in your, I'm sorry, repeating myself. Did you tamper with, alter, substitute, or destroy the contents of the packaging in any way?
I did not, no.
Tamper with the swab in any way?
No.
During that time, did you or anybody else open the self-sealing package at all?
No.
Okay. Did everything you testified to occur in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii?
Yes, it did.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to hand the exhibits to the clerk.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Very briefly, thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Solomon.
Good morning, sir.
Is I saying that right?
That's
Solomon?
correct.
Thank you for being here. I just had a couple of questions. The photographs that you just, you were just shown, 238, 239, and 129. Did you take those at the same time that you were doing the buccal swab?
Yes.
Okay, so you indicated that on March 25th, 2025, the buccal swab you took at 5:40 p.m. roughly, yes?
Yes.
And you would have done the photographs roughly at that same time, correct?
Yes, prior to collection.
Right before.
Yes.
So 5:40 p.m. on the 25th of March is 10:30 a.m. on the 24th of March. 5:40 p.m. is about 31 hours later, correct?
I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. So if we go 10:30 a.m. on the 24th,
Okay.
then we go to 10:30 a.m. on the 25th. That's 25 hours, right?
Okay.
And then from 10:30 on the 25th to 5 30, that's 7 hours, right? 10:30 to 5:30, right?
10:30 to 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you took these photographs, 24 hours plus 7, 31. You took these photographs 31 hours after 10:30 a.m. on the 24th, correct?
Sorry, 25 plus 7 is 32.
24 plus 7.
24 plus
Yeah.
7, 31. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, 31 hours after 10:30 a.m. on the 24th,
Okay.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. And let's publish it. Let's publish these now since they're in evidence.
Okay.
So if we could exhibit 238, it's going to be on the screen here.
Okay.
So that's a photograph you took when you were doing the buccal swabs of Dr. Konig, yes?
Yes.
And this was at the Honolulu Police Department
The central receiving desk.
Central Receiving, correct?
Yes.
Okay, 31 hours later, let's go to 239. Okay. Can we zoom in on his ear and his cheek? Is that possible? Okay. Okay. So that's his ear and his cheek, 31 hours later. And then if we could go with 129. Okay, and that's the front of him 24 hours later. I mean 31 hours later, correct?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
No further questions.
Mr. Garner, any redirect?
No, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take our lunch break now. Leave your notebooks on your chair. Have you come back at 1:30 this afternoon and talk more about this case? Keep an open mind. Do not try to learn about this case outside of it. All of you, have a good lunch. All right.
Do you recognize what's depicted in those pictures?
Yes, it's the kitchen entrance area, pantry area.
Okay, of
4238 Bay Ridge.
And do these pictures accurately and truly reflect the way the kitchen area and pantry area appeared at 4238 Bay Ridge Drive?
Yes.
Judge, move to tender defendant's exhibit 82, 83, 84.
No objection.
If I could have that.
Admitted.
Hello, please. Can you just describe for the jury
Did you ever have the chance to meet David Barron?
I met him twice.
Okay. I want to talk to you about the first time that you met him, and I'm going to approach. Who's
Me.
showing you defendant 73. You recognize that?
I do.
Okay. What is that?
That is the Saturday of Georgia-Florida weekend in 2024. And we were there to watch the football game or the first half. And Suzanne wanted me to meet David.
Is this a photo of you guys from that date?
Yes.
That David Barron.
Correct.
Okay. Does it fairly and accurately represent the two of you on that same date that you met David Barron?
Yes, sir.
Move to tender 73.
No objections.
Admitted.
Map the helmet.
Mini Miracle Bombs, I'm back. If you haven't heard about Miracle Bombs, let me tell you, honestly, the secret, how I could feel better in 2 seconds. On the days that I really don't have time to do anything, I put this on and instantly I look so much better. I use them as a tint. I use them as a blush. I use them as a highlighter. I use them on my neck. Whatever's extra, I use.
Tell us where this is first, city and all that stuff.
St. Simon's Island, Georgia, and Brogan's Restaurant.
You said it was the Georgia-Florida game, and I know that's typically at a certain time, but can you give us an orientation of, as close as you can, date?
Yes, it's always right around Halloween. It's either the last Saturday of October or the first Saturday in November, but that's where it falls.
Okay. Was this the first time that you ever met David Barron?
Yes.
Okay. Was that a long meeting with him that time or just very brief?
Very brief.
Did you have another occasion to meet Mr. Barron that was, I guess, longer than this first meeting for the Georgia-Florida game date?
I did.
Okay. Roughly when was that?
That was January 18th, 2025 at my sister's birthday.
January 18th, 2025 at your sister, which sister is this?
Leslie. It was her 60th birthday and it was a surprise party.
Okay. Do you know her birthday offhand?
I do.
Okay. What is it?
January 18th.
That's how you know it was January 18th?
That's how I know, yes.
Was this, what kind of party was this? You said it's a birthday party, but are we talking about a small group of people? Are we talking about a larger group of people? Is this in public? Is it in private?
It was a private party, but it was a surprise party for Leslie with all of her close friends. So it was a large party. I'd venture to say 30 to 40 people, probably.
How many of the siblings, meaning the Miracles or the extended Miracles, were there?
All of them.
Did Suzanne come?
Yes.
And did Mr. Barron come?
He did.
Had you ever, before this night, before January 18th, 2025, had you ever had any conversations with Mr. Barron at all?
No, other than nice to meet you at Brogan's.
On this night, on this birthday party night, was Suzanne there with David as a couple?
Yes, they arrived together.
So this is his first time meeting the family, if you will.
Correct.
Okay. You've got 7 siblings and she's got a new boyfriend, right?
Correct.
Was this one of those, let's see what's going on here kind of things?
Yeah, I'd say we were focused on Leslie for her birthday, but we were definitely looking forward to getting to know David.
Okay. What, if anything, did you notice about Suzanne and David's interaction on that weekend, on January 18th at this party?
You know, they would interact some, but then I'd find them kind of sitting by themselves or over by the bar. This is a big barn property and they have a nice party set up. And so they would be sitting over by the bar, chatting quietly, just to each other. And then Suzanne would come engage and play in this card game a little bit, but then he'd pull her back again and they'd be talking again. And so it wasn't typical party behavior where everyone else was kind of engaged with everybody and walking around and talking to everybody. And then, you know, we'd engage her again and she'd come back and hang with us.
What did you conclude about, well, how had she up until this time behaved at parties like this from your observations?
Super fun and involved in all the fun stuff that was going on. You know, we're all kind of gregarious and like to have fun and kind of she's the life of the party and having a great time.
Was that consistent with what you saw from her on 1/18/25?
No.
Now, you didn't see any violence between the two of them?
No.
Did she talk to you at all about him later at any date, at any time around this time? What was she telling you about him?
Up until that time, nothing negative. Just, I didn't talk to her as much because she was, you know, with him all the time. And it seemed like she was kind of molding her life around his. But I just assumed she was happy and that was where she was heading, and they'd bought a house together, and you know she was kind of riding off into the sunset with her knight in shining armor.
Did you know about the purchase of the house in Hall County?
I did.
Was that something that the siblings and you thought was a good plan for her?
Not necessarily. We thought it moved very quickly. That worried us.
Did she ever characterize Mr. Barron to you as a really good guy?
Yes.
Take your bra off and switch to this one now. This bra lifts your bust like no other. From this.
At some point, did she start talking to you about some concerns with him?
Yes.
Were you aware of a paramour or another woman that potentially had been involved with Mr. Barron?
Yes.
Did Ms. Miracle talk to you about that?
Yes.
What was it that you were kind of serving as? What was your role when you're talking to Suzanne after these concerns about the other woman and I guess just dealing with her as her closest sibling?
You know, I would just kind of let her speak and let her be heard and, you know, to hope that she's okay. And she always knew that she could talk to me without judgment. And I just wanted to learn what was going on with her and try to help her and advise her.
And how were you helping and advising her? What were you trying to give her to assist her as she's dealing with the issue with Mr. Barron?
That, you know, at the beginning, when she first found out about it, and he was saying that he was going to stop sending money. And she was like, you know, okay, I'm going to give him the chance to do that. And then he showed his true colors and he didn't stop doing that. And so I tried to help her end it, or advise her to, you know, remind her that he has shown his true colors. We were always taught when someone shows you who they are, believe them. but she just wanted to continue to see the good in him.
When you're talking to her about leaving, about ending the relationship, does it seem like it's getting through to her for at periods of time?
Yes, at times.
Did she express to you wanting to leave that relationship?
Yes, over and over.
Did you notice after I guess, where she's kind of come over to the side of I want to leave the relationship, did you notice that would change at some time?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So it wasn't just me, my sister Leslie and I spoke to her. She would kind of talk to both of us. And so when we would talk to her, she'd say, I know, y'all are right. You're right. I'm going to leave. I deserve better. I don't deserve this. I just want to be loved. And I thought he was the one. And so, but she would come around and say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna be with him anymore. And then she'd kind of drop off the face of the earth, and we would know that he would have worked his way back into her, and then we wouldn't hear from her.
Were you even aware that she had been arrested and charged with DUI in Hall County?
No.
I want to talk about the weekend of March the 6th and the 7th, okay?
Okay.
Did you know ahead of time that she was going to be going to the lake house in Hall County? Were you aware of that? Did she say, I'm going to the lake house this weekend, if you recall?
Yes, I believe I was aware of that. Yes, in fact, I was aware because she had said, he came down and surprised me. And I thought, oh no, here we go. He's pulling her back.
When March the 7th comes around, do you remember if you talked to her at all on that day?
No, I definitely had not.
Did you, on March the 8th, Miss Miracle?
I did.
When was the first time that you recognized that you had missed calls in the late night hours?
When I woke up the next morning, probably 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll guess.
When you saw the missed calls from Suzanne, what came to your mind?
I thought I need to check on her because I had calls from her in the past in midnight or later hours, and occasionally I would be up or I would hear the phone ring and I would answer, but most of the time I'd be asleep, so I would reach out to her the next morning, make sure she was okay. And so I thought I need to reach out to her again and make sure she's okay.
And were you able to make contact with her?
No.
What did you do next?
So I think I first an answer. I missed your calls last night, just calling to make sure everything's okay, or texting, checking in. And so I tried not to get alarmed. I just had a gut feeling. I just didn't feel good about it because she has her phone with her all the time. But I thought if she was up late, maybe she's sleeping in. I hope that's the case. So I just kind of let it go. And then a few hours later, I was really getting worried. Again, I had this instinct. And so I texted her and said, if I don't hear from you by X time, and I don't know what time I gave, but I gave a number, a time period. And I said, I'm going to have someone come check on you because I'm really getting nervous. So, and in the meantime, I tried to nonchalantly call the kids to see, because she talks to her kids all the time, and especially Mary Madden. So I just, nonchalantly said, hey, have you talked to your mom today or heard from her? And Mary Madden said, no, what's wrong? And so I said, nothing, I missed a call, and I'm, just checking on her.
So now you've texted, called, reached out to her kids. Is your anxiety level going further and further and further?
Yes.
Are you very, very concerned at the time that
I'm getting very, very concerned.
Do you make a phone call to 911?
I do. That time came and passed, and I was like, I'm calling 911. I just was terrified that something bad had happened because now hours have gone by and she has not called or texted me or her children, and we've all tried reaching her. And so I just had this elevated angst, and I was like, I'm not waiting. We've already lost another sister to domestic violence, and I'm not going to do it again.
Welcome to 3-Day Blinds, your window treatment experts for over 45 years.
Stop treating your wavy hair like it's curly. It took me way too long to realize why my hair routine wasn't working for me. I was doing a curly routine on my hair because that's what TikTok told me to do, and I was not getting the results that I wanted. I was deep conditioning, I was using gel, I was diffusing upside down, and my hair always ended up looking like puffy, frizzy, or just like crunchy. Turns out my hair's actually wavy, and wavy hair needs much lighter products and a totally different approach to styling because it reacts completely different to moisture and hold. I took the pros quiz and it told me that I have wavy hair, not curly, and it customized everything for me. So it gave me a shampoo, a hair mask, and a hair cream customized to my hair. And now my waves are defined, soft, and frizz-free. If your hair is bendy, undefined, and has unwanted frizz, just stop guessing. Take the pros quiz and it'll tell you what your hair actually needs.
Judge, I'm going to play State's Exhibit 1 starting at 5:30, 5:20.
Hall County Dispatch, how may I help you?
Hi, I need to ask someone to do a welfare check on my sister.
Okay. And what's the address?
Okay, it is 4238 Bay Ridge Drive.
Tag number on the van. Okay, and what is your sister's name?
Suzanne, Suzanne, Miracle, M as in Mary, ERICLE.
And what's her date of birth?
Oh gosh,
How old is she?
May 15th, 61, I think. I have 6 siblings. I can't keep track of all of them.
Okay. And tell me what happened.
So she has a lake house. We live on St. Simon's, and she has a lake house. And I woke up this morning to 2 missed calls from her in the middle of the night. And she has been in a not good relationship lately. And I don't know the guy very well, but I know he's a heavy drinker, and she's been trying to get out of that relationship. And he keeps pulling her back in. Well, I called her first thing when I woke up and saw the missed calls, and no answer. And I called her about an hour later, no answer. Text too. She lives with her phone. And so I said, I'm worried, call me. I'm about to call your children, which I knew she would not be happy with. So I called them. And so they haven't heard from her either since 8 o'clock last night. And they've been trying to call her. And she just would never not answer her phone. So then I called the boyfriend, David Barron, and his is going straight to voicemail. And this is just not like her. And just knowing that he's kind of isolating her. And I've been through this with another sister, and it turned out the worst case scenario. And I just have a feeling it is, I don't know. But the fact that I cannot get her is very unusual.
Okay. What's your phone number?
It's 912.
And what is your name?
Dana Gardner. And her adult children have tried calling her, and I mean, she lives for them and would never not answer the phone.
Okay, so I'm going to have an officer call you. When they call, it'll come from a blocked, private, or unknown number, okay?
I will answer.
All right, I'll have them call you here shortly.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Dispatch Monica.
Those are all my questions. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Grab that one.
Hi, Ms. Garner. Can you hear me if I just leave this right over here?
I sure can.
I just have a few questions for you.
Okay.
So, you established that you and Suzanne are sisters.
Yes.
Okay. And you're the older sister?
I'm the youngest.
Oh, I apologize. Is Suzanne the oldest?
No, she's in the middle.
Okay, she's in the middle. Okay, but in terms of sisters, you are the youngest?
Yes.
Okay. And you live on St. Simon's, right?
I do.
Are you a realtor?
I am.
Okay. A realtor selling properties on St. Simon's?
Mostly, but also on the mainland.
Okay. And at some point you agreed to sell Suzanne's condo for?
Yes.
Okay. I want to just go over a few text messages that you had with Suzanne.
Okay. Excuse me.
I don't want to say your whole phone number out loud, but does it end in 4506?
It does.
Okay. And Suzanne's ends in 4039?
Yes.
Okay. This is. I just want to show you some text messages that you had with your sister. Do you mind just looking over these and see if you recognize them?
I don't have my glasses on, so this is a blur.
We're gonna have is there a way to shut off the TV but allow us?
Can you get your readers?
My readers are with my husband.
Okay.
Let's accomplish that. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I should have brought them up with me.
What does it take to be a Shenyun dancer? It takes a mind of steel and limbs.
You can go ahead. It's okay.
Thank you. Okay, it's still very small, but I can see it. Okay, what was the question?
If you could just flip through them and see if you recognize them, that would be great. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yes, I recognize them.
Do they fairly and accurately depict the conversations or some of the conversations that you've had with Suzanne?
I haven't read them, the detail of them, but because there's many pages here. Let's see. Yes.
Okay. I'll take that back from you. I promise it'll be pumped up to a bigger screen.
Okay.
At this point, the state moves to tender 199G.
And no further objection to 199G.
Do you mind?
Admitted. Going laptop or doc cam?
Laptop.
Oh, you do? I don't know. Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot bigger, I promise. Okay. So I believe I remember you talking about Let me just find my notes. The 18th was your sister Leslie's 60th birthday.
That's correct.
Okay. And the date of these text messages that are up on the screen right now, they're January 20th, 2025.
Yes,
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so 2 days after the party.
that's right.
So you say to her, and this is you, morning, everything okay, correct?
Yes,
And she says, it is good. I will talk to you later. Love you.
yes,
And you say, love you too. Have a good weekend, correct?
yes. Have a good week.
Oh, have a good week. My apologies. And she says, you too, correct?
Yes,
So then at around 10:44 p.m. and change on the 20th, she says to you, are you awake? Yes?
yes,
Followed up by, you say, yes, what's up? Yes?
yes,
She says, I'm not sure what I need to do. You say, about, and she says, some words, and then about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I saw where David was texting with other women, and I confronted him, and now it's just blown up. That was sent by Suzanne, correct?
correct,
She says, what can somebody just love me, correct?
correct.
Suzanne then says, and this is at 10:47, all I want is their love, their truth, their compassion, and loyalty. Yes?
Yes.
You say, oh crap.
I say, oh crap.
This message right here.
Okay.
And then followed up by a message of WTF. Correct?
Yes, correct.
So then Suzanne says, why did he buy a house with me? All this feels like everything he told me is a lie. Yes?
Yes,
And she says, I know. Followed by, I'm in such shock. Yes?
yes,
And then asks you, please do not say anything. I am humiliated.
yes,
So then also says, hey, seem to be the best guy ever. Yes?
yes,
And to make sure, I know you also, just straying away from that for a second, you also had an interview with Dr. Elkon, one of the defense's experts, and this was on or about October 4th, 2025, right?
yes.
You guys spoke for about an hour and a half.
If you say. I don't
you
know.
Remember, if
Possibly.
was that on the telephone? Or?
Yes.
Okay. So during that interview, you told Dr. Elkon that Suzanne consistently described David as a good guy with a good heart.
Yes.
And on direct, you said that Suzanne never disclosed any physical abuse that David allegedly had done to her.
Correct.
Okay. So I want to continue on from here.
Okay.
We are at this, if you can see my little mouse moving.
I do.
So at 10:49, I'm sure it feels awful right now, but texting isn't the end of the world. I know several people whose husbands have done the same and they've worked through it and are stronger than ever.
Yes.
I would say that you're being pretty reasonable. Would you say so?
Yes.
Suzanne then says, I just keep
Is traditional foundation making you look worse? Traditional foundations are not great for lines in the face.
It's sticky and gooey, and it really emphasizes my wrinkles and dark spots.
We need something different. We need something moisturizing that gives a bit of color to counteract dullness and gives our skin life. What the foundation for me is the magic formula that does it for my skin. It's like facelift in a jar. It just makes my skin look good, gives me a lift, and I look like I'm not wearing anything. It is outrageously great for very dry skin. The moisture comes from natural oils that we've included in the formula, and some of us don't even need a moisturizer with it. And I don't think you'll ever go back to using traditional foundation once you discover this.
I think this is amazing because it's a moisturizer as well.
It contains a really unique and nourishing ingredient called sodium hyaluronate, which is even smaller than hyaluronic acid. That's the magic formula, and it does wonders for my skin.
It does not sink into your wrinkles. It doesn't dry down. It's the opposite of a mattifying effect.
I'm Steve Ballmer, former Microsoft CEO
and a basketball fanatic. But more than anything, I'm a data guy. That's why I created USA Facts, to bring you unbiased and nonpartisan government data on issues impacting the lives of Americans. I'll share with you the facts and data, all from our government. You make up your own mind. Who is responsible? Federal?
And you say, how is that your F up, right?
Yep.
Suzanne then says, I don't know what to do. I'm sick of this day. I bought a house with him. I believed him. Yes?
Yes.
And you say, would he be willing to go to couples therapy? Yes?
Yes.
And if so, I would jump right in with both feet. And that's from you, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So then she provides you with a little bit more information.
Correct.
I found out that he's supporting some woman in Romania and her daughter. Why did he introduce me to his family? Why did he take me on a trip with his family? Why did he want to meet my children? Why did he want to meet my siblings? Why did he want to buy a house with me? I'm just unlovable. Yes?
Yeah.
She then says, I want to sell my practice, just move somewhere that nobody knows me. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
And followed up by, I need to sell up. I need to sell my condo. I guess I need to sell that lake house. I don't want it.
Yep.
Then you say, y'all both have passed. Supporting that woman and her child in Romania is not something he's probably very proud of. Did he tell you about it, or did you have to find out on your own?
Yeah.
She says, I'm not going to contact him. I'm tired of chasing. If he wants me to come, find me. I found out on my own. He was not honest with me. I asked him who she was when I saw her texting him, and he lied.
Yes.
She then says, I told him I don't mind texting other women as long as they are friends. I have guy friends.
Yes.
And then you guys have a conversation. This is probably about an hour and 27 minutes or so.
Yes.
So then your conversation ends for that day. At some point during your interview with Dr. Elkon, you told Dr. Elkon Suzanne needed a lot of attention and that she was very needy, right?
Yes.
So I want to continue on. This is on to the next day.
But there's a lot more to that context.
Okay, we can get into it in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So on the,
Witness wants to complete the answer that she can. So I think she can give the option instead of delaying. If she wants to finish it.
We're going to continue with the examination. Go ahead.
so on the 21st, this is at 1:31 after your phone call. Suzanne says, thank you. Thank you for always being there for me. I fuck up so much. I'm tired and I feel so unloved, but I do love myself and I will be strong. Thank you for always loving me and for keep me going. You are the best sister and friend I have. Please don't think bad of David. He's a good guy, but maybe not the guy for me, or maybe he is. I love you. Yes?
Yes.
You say to him, to her, I apologize. I love you. Don't worry. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Let's get you through the next day or two, and the path will become clear. Ask God to surround you by all of your guardian angels, of which you have many. Mama will be leading the pack and will help guide you.
Yes.
So then Suzanne says a little bit after that, I don't know when you should contact him. I don't want him to feel attacked. I want him to know it's from love. He is such a good man and he has such a good heart. This is so hard because I know he never meant to hurt me. I really believe he loves me, just doesn't know how to love me. Yes?
Yes.
So I want to ask you about that first sentence. Suzanne asked you to contact him?
In the phone call, I think I volunteered the phone call that we talked.
Okay, you volunteered to
later.
contact him.
Yeah, I wanted to help. And I was alarmed to hear about this woman, and I wanted to help get to the bottom of it. And no, was he going to stop? And did he really love her? And is he the one? And I just wanted to help and see if I could help them, I don't know, be some sort of mediator and see if they could get through it. As I mentioned earlier, I knew friends who had gone through some things and they'd gotten through it and had been very open and loving with their friend group and about everything. And I have had experience in that and saw that it could happen. And so I thought perhaps this could happen too for them.
Did you ultimately end up contacting David?
No.
No. Okay. I want to continue with the text messages.
Okay.
We are at this box right here. You say, don't worry, I'm not calling him, at least not without talking things through with you first. Let's digest all of this and I'll check in on you tomorrow. Love you.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Then at some point she modifies her contact for some reason. And then y'all have another phone call in the evening for about 13 minutes. Yes?
Yes.
So then that evening, a little bit after the phone call, Suzanne tells you, can you put in her phone number? I think you have to put 001R code from the US before the numbers. Yes?
Yes.
So this might not work, but it's really small.
I see it.
Whose name is that? Oh my goodness.
Hi, I'm Brett.
And I'm Jonathan.
This is Darla.
And this is Buddy.
We're the founders of the Farmer's Dog.
We've made an entirely new way to feed your dog.
It all started with my first dog, Jada. I got Jada in my early 20s. It was just love at first sight. She was the most adorable, smart dog, but her stomach was just constantly a problem. Nothing seemed to help her until a vet recommended that I started home cooking for her.
All of her issues went away. Her life changed. So Brett started going down this journey of looking into what is dog food? How is it made?
Kibble can be made with ingredients that would be illegal to sell to a human for consumption, then turned into a powder using extreme heat, extruded into the brown balls we all know, and then sprayed with nutrients and palatants so the dogs will actually eat it.
We were told kibble was the best thing you could feed your dog.
Premium meat for a natural diet.
Turns out it wasn't. We were told all the food was real meat and vegetables. That's also not true.
I think we all know as human beings that eating highly processed food every single meal, every single day of our lives is not ideal for our health. But pet food being highly processed was just the status quo.
So we decided, let's change it. Let's take the decades of pet food research and the understanding of what nutrients dogs need, use that, but avoid the excess processing. I think the question was, how do we make food that's fresh, healthy, and convenient, but do it for every dog across the country? That was like a tough challenge. So we thought we really need to get somebody who knows dog nutrition.
We had watched a seminar with Dr. Wachschlag, and I said to Jonathan, I was like, we need to get a guy like him.
I was like, okay, I'll call him.
To be honest with you, Jonathan called, and then he called again. He just said, you guys have an interesting idea, something that's revolutionary in the dog food world, and if you can pull this off, you'll have a whole new way of feeding dogs.
We ask a few questions about your dog, and we develop a personalized meal plan with the right amount of calories to keep them at a healthy weight. And our customers know that we don't look at them as just a number. We know their name, we know their dog's name, we genuinely care about their dog.
We start with meat and vegetables, gently cook them, and add all the nutrients dogs need for a complete and balanced diet. Every package of food is inspected and goes through a number of different quality controls and tests. And it's all human grade, which means it's made to the same safety standards as human food. Then we put it in a box, add the ice, and deliver it right to your door.
It's all done for you. From the moment you order your first box, you have an advocate for your dog on your side.
It's not about what we do to the food. It's about what we don't do that's creating these incredible health outcomes in so many dogs.
What started with just Jada ended up going from 1 dog to 8 dogs, to then 100 dogs, and now millions.
I just feel so lucky that Jada's legacy gets to live on in Darla and in other households all across the country.
We really believe that everybody wants to take care of their dog in the best way that they can. Our mission is just to help them do that.
Lilia, how you say her last name?
Okay, so at some point she asks you to contact Lilia.
Yes, I actually volunteered not to contact her.
Okay.
I asked her for her contact information.
Okay. Did you end up contacting?
Oh, no, it was not to reach out to her. I was looking, as a realtor, we use an app called Forewarn.
Okay.
And it can give me background information on people who, making sure to know where they live and to know if they have a background or any. They lived and where the apartment was.
Okay. So at some point in this conversation that you had with Suzanne on the 21st, she volunteers this information about Lilia to you, and you are going to look her up further. But she also appears to have her phone number as well, yes?
That Suzanne has her phone number? Yes.
She sent you? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
So on the 21st, continuing on, you talk about the app may only work on US numbers, but I'll see, and this is the app that you were talking about?
Correct.
So she says, okay. You say, any news? She says, can you talk? And then y'all have a conversation for about 10 minutes, yes?
Yes.
So this is later, this is on the 24th. At some point, she sends you a screenshot. Do you know what that was of? Sorry, I gotta.
Okay.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. It's pretty small.
It's really blurry up here.
Okay, it's really blurry. It looks like a text conversation, but let's try to read some text messages to see if we can put some context in it. She says this was his response, right?
In that text message that you just screenshotted, that's what you're reading to me now?
This one that is right underneath. So the first one that you could see, the first full box.
Yes, I'm asking, is that what is said in that that screenshot that you had up there?
No, so we can't read that. I can zoom in on it, but I don't think we'll be able to read it. But she's texting you here,
okay.
24, and she said this was his response.
Okay.
Was that about David? If you recall?
Oh boy, this is awkward. I don't think anyone had the birds and the bees talk with this lesbian.
Shame on you. Shame on all of you. And shame on you for using lesbian politics as a front for your transphobia, because this lesbian has had plenty of girlfriends with penises.
Welcome back to Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered. We will get to the lesbian with the girlfriends with the penises. And
I'm sure he called Hope Powers back. I don't know. I can't say for sure.
That's okay. So she says he responded. I'm sure he called Hope Powers back. And I just sent the text again, and he answered, going to eat, question mark, question mark, question mark. And then there's a period in there.
Yes.
She says, I'm going to leave him alone. I'm going to focus on selling my practice in the condo, and then I'll focus on what I want to do with that lake house, may want to keep it.
Yes.
You reacted to the message, and then you loved another message, and then y'all had another conversation for about an hour or so.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So then on the 24th, Suzanne tells you, please send the PDF on David. Right?
Yes.
What is she referencing?
Where I put David's phone number in that same Forewarn app, as I thought, who is this guy and who are these people he's dealing with? This seems like this is all a surprise to her and someone she's been living with for months. I'm going to look them up as her sister. And so I put them in the Forewarn app and sent the report that came out with it.
Okay. So she then says, we're just going to continue on with the text messages. Wow, this is crazy. I found both Lilia Bocan and an Emily Estrada on Facebook. She's from Romania, but they don't look poor? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
That's right, because we assumed they were poor because that would be why he was a good guy helping them, not a mistress or, someone like that. And so it totally turned everything. We were like, this is a different deal.
Okay. But at this point, you had absolutely no idea why David was allegedly sending Lily or Lilia money, right?
No, we thought he was being a kind man sending money to a family who we made it. Like I said, we give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And that's how our mom was and how she taught us to be. So we were trying to hope and pray it was a good reason and that maybe that would become clear. But then when she found them on Facebook, it made us think differently.
So she finds them on Facebook. Does she send you screen captures of the Facebook accounts?
Not that I recall.
Okay. So Suzanne then says, I'm not sure if that's the same person the other day. I did show that picture to David and I said, this is Lily. He said, no, that's not her, but she does have black hair. Suzanne then says, he has not called me, even though I want some answers. I do not know, or I do not want to have to reach out to him. I want to call him, but I know that's probably not the best thing to do, right?
Yes.
So you then say, even if you call him, he's likely not to give you the answers that you seek. If he was, he'd call you as you asked. Take a shower and put on a movie and try to get your mind off of him.
Yes.
Still then, you're being pretty reasonable. Would you agree?
Yes, I'm trying to counsel her and calm her and help her have a good night's rest. Yeah.
So still on the 24th, she says, she being Suzanne, I have decided, Dana, I cannot reach out to him anymore. If he texts me, I'll just respond. We need to talk. I'm so confused. I'm going to relax and watch a movie.
Yes.
She then says, I am feeling better every day. You and Leslie have helped me so much because I've been able to talk it out.
Yes.
So to confirm, she also talked to Leslie about David and Lilia.
Yes.
At some point, you do call her and okay, then you're talking about real estate. Okay. Then you talk about real estate, and that's essentially the end of your conversation with Suzanne about Lilia and David. Yes. So then
on the text, yes.
Yeah, on the text messages. So I want to get to the calls that you received from Suzanne.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we have it up here. Take a second to try and find an exhibit.
Okay.
So on the night of the, or I guess very, very, very early morning on the 8th, were you aware of what time Suzanne called 911?
I am now, but of course I didn't know then. I mean, I've heard, I've been to the motion hearing and the bond hearing, so I heard a lot of stuff then.
Okay. So you're aware that Suzanne called 911 a few times? Not exactly the times, but she called.
I know she called. That's correct.
Were you aware that after she called 911, I would say, I think about 6 minutes after she called 911, she called you?
I didn't know the timing.
Okay. You got phone calls from Suzanne, I think about, let's check. I have it right here. Maybe, okay, 1:15 a.m. Oh, I apologize. I'm looking at 1:99 D. Yes. So she calls you at about 1:15 a.m.
Okay.
If you remember.
I saw the calls the next day, and I remember it being after 1 and before 1:30, but I can't recall exactly the exact.
So from your knowledge from the motions hearing and whatnot, you remember that she called, after she calls you, she then calls 911 again.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes. Again, I didn't know what order, but yes.
And then she calls you again at around 1:22. Yes?
Yes, I saw that on my phone.
Okay. Did she leave you a voicemail?
No.
You don't have bad hair. You just haven't discovered your waves yet. You can never get it to lay flat, but it's not curly either. Just that constant puff you can't tame. You feel like you need a leave-in or oil because it's constantly dry.
So I want to get back to what you were saying about the Leslie's birthday party.
Yes.
So you said that was the first time that you had any direct contact with David.
That I'd spent more time in a room with him, but the first time I had contact with him was the Georgia-Florida game at Brogan's restaurant.
Florida game. And that was November 2nd. Or that weekend, you know,
That's
like
right.
October 31st.
Yeah, first Saturday of November. That could have been November 2nd.
Okay, so then you also told Dr. Elcon that aside from the party that you hadn't had any direct contact with David before that party. So
Correct.
okay, so you're saying that at the Georgia-Florida game, he was just kind of there and you didn't really interact? Okay.
There was a group of us. We weren't sitting or anything. We were just standing and getting a spot to watch the kickoff. And so, you know how girls will kind of get together and guys will get together. And so Suzanne and I had not seen each other in a while, so we were hanging out together with a couple of our friends.
So on January 17th, I believe that's Leslie's birthday party?
18th,
I'm so sorry. And you said about 30 to 40 people were there.
Rough estimate, yes.
Rough estimate. It sounds like family members.
And friends.
And it was at a barn?
One of Leslie's best friends has a really nice property, and right next to it is, they call it the barn, but it's not an actual barn. It's this really nice property where they keep things, but they also clear it out, and they have birthday parties and cookouts and things there. It overlooks the marsh, and it's really pretty.
Well, it sounds really nice. So this 60th birthday party was being held there. It's private. Suzanne's family is there, and this is in St. Simon's.
This is actually in Brunswick, just over the bridge on the mainland.
So at the time, you said, let me just make sure. Okay, so on direct, you said that David was kind of pulling her away, and they'd be talking, and then they'd separate and whatnot. I believe you also told Dr. Elcon that he was a bit possessive of her. So, but this was the first time that you've had direct contact with him. And there's about 30 to 40 people at a party. Yes.
Yes.
You just got to give an affirmative because the court reporter is taking notes. 30, 40 people at a party. And David, to your knowledge, is not from St. Simon's or Brunswick, right?
Right.
So, I mean, to your knowledge, Suzanne was the only person that he probably knew, right?
True, but we're all super friendly, and everyone walked up and said hello and introduced him, and he could have interacted, and we certainly tried to interact with him. And when I say they weren't sitting over there like he was holding his hand, there was talk, whatever was happening with them. It just seemed off.
Right, and that's the 18th, so that's, I guess, did Suzanne tell you when she found out about Lilia?
A couple days after this party, she told me about it.
Okay, so she told you about it a few days after, but she didn't tell you when exactly
She did tell me that she was in a car with him. She didn't tell me the exact date, or maybe she said, I know they were heading to to a furniture store, I believe, in a vehicle. And she found a text came in on his phone, and he had said, I think he wanted her to put directions in to the phone. And so she was doing that, and a text came in from, I believe, Lilia. And that she was like, what is this? And he reached over and was trying to grab the phone from her and wouldn't explain to her what it was. It's nothing, and flew off the handle. And they ended up not going to the furniture store. And she was like, just explain to me what it is. And he just wouldn't. And so that's where all that began.
And that information came from Suzanne.
Suzanne, yes. But she had held it. She was embarrassed. She didn't want to tell me about it. But then it all started coming to a head. And that's when she told me about it. But she, like she said in her text to me, I was humiliated and she was heartbroken. And she was hoping beyond hope that they would get through it and that he would be the person she thought he was.
So just a little bit of a timeline. So the 18th is Leslie's 60th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
These conversations kind of started on the 20th.
Yeah.
It's safe to assume, and would you agree with me, that Suzanne found out about Lilia prior to the birthday party?
Yeah, that's what I think some of the talk may have been. I don't really know. But yes, and she told me about it. I think maybe that long phone call that we had could have been when she told me the details.
So it's.
I'm a makeup artist who doesn't love traditional foundation. That's why I created What the Foundation. Traditional foundation.
You'd agree with me in saying it's quite possible that David was in an uncomfortable environment and he's quibbling with Suzanne about this Lilia chick. So he may be uncomfortable.
Maybe, but she painted him as someone who was also the life of the party. This is not the person we saw who she described. You know, she loved being, you know, when she went down to his family, they had a good time and she thought, you know, it was all great. So that was not a person that she described sitting in that room.
And you said, I apologize, Suzanne never told you about any physical abuse that David allegedly committed against her.
No.
And David never likewise told you about any sort of sexual abuse that David did against Suzanne.
No.
I'd like to ask you about February 2nd, 2025. So at some point early in the morning, and you talked about this with Dr. Elkon, that you missed a call from Suzanne and that you knew that she was in the emergency room.
I did not know she was in the emergency room, no.
Okay, so that must have,
just
never mind.
Probably a missed call. That would happen in I believe, the heat of the moment. And I would call her back the next day and she would say, oh, it was a butt dial. But I knew in my heart that it wasn't, because by the morning, she would have gotten a clearer head and then she would be embarrassed and not want to tell me what happened. Because by then, you know, they had, you know, sort of made up. And again, she was trying to paint him in a light to us that he was a good guy.
You also said, so I guess you got a call from her then, and Suzanne said it was a butt dial. You also got a call from Suzanne on or about February 16th or 17th, 2025. And that was the day that she was arrested for DUI. Yes?
I did not get a call that night that I recall. Perhaps, but I don't recall that.
Okay. Well, do you have the timeline from the 16th and 17th? Let me check what number it is.
I think Mary Madden did, but not me, I don't think.
Well, it's fine. You don't recall?
In fact, I was out of town that weekend, and I would have called to make sure she was okay and reached out to her. And we did not speak that weekend or text back and forth. I was, you know, with some friends, and I think I would remember that.
Okay.
But I do know that Mary Madden had a missed call from her.
You did say, though, on direct that David surprised her that weekend. So this is the weekend of the 17th, that she told you, or you were aware that David surprised her.
I don't know exactly which weekend, but when it happened, he's like, he surprised me. I'm going to go over to the lake next weekend. And I thought, okay.
Were you aware that David only came because Suzanne lied to David about a medical issue she had been having? No further questions.
Street, his breath awakens something in your heart.
It's going to sit with me. I'm going to be thinking about this all week.
We've been talking about coming together for many years now.
Nothing is perfect, but this was perfect.